Hello and welcome. Make sure everything's working here. Yeah, it's working. Hello and welcome to the office hours, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley. Oh, gotta zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? Joy Pop, Red Marine, welcome. Shinobi, welcome. The Butthole. Sorry I'm a little late. This week and next week, I'm doing some stuff at school to help out with kids who need to pass the classes I teach, for the entire school. So I'm staying later at work than I normally would be. Hey, Red Arco. Holy Houston vest. You mean Hurston back, man? Hurston vest? Not Houston. Thank you. I think I need a darker shirt with this one, but like a blue. How dare you be an awesome teacher? For shame. Well, it does cut into my other stuff. In a paisley mood? Well, I've got a bunch of paisleys. I've got this, I've got the purple paisley, and I got a red paisley. They look good. Man, fuck them kids. Hi, Paul. Is it snowing where you are? It was on Monday night and Tuesday. It hasn't snowed since then. And we're not going to get snow for the rest of the week. In fact, it's going to get warmer the rest of the week, so the high is going to be by Friday. By tomorrow, it's going to be 60s. It's going to be raining tomorrow. So, well, last I checked. Yes, you are late and have blasphemed my Thursday routine. Repent. Blame my kids. Blame my students. I just want a spring without tornadoes. That's not going to happen. No, was it leaked or something?
Madeira just discovered the meaning of life.
Thank you so much, RD Madeira, for that 42 months of support. You're a very important puppet, very impressive, Mr. Very good. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. I prefer the blame Space Congress. Yes. I don't blame my mother. I prefer to blame Congress. Pipeline got a walk around and through video of the MISC Fortune. I'm cool. I'll take a look at it, but I'm not going to show it on stream just because... Did they explain how they got it, or did they just have it? It looks like it's in the files. Definitely looks like a salvage ship for sure. Is there some sort of dispenser? I'm not seeing any dispensers. The dispensers on the outside. I saw like little hover pads for like connecting cargo, but I don't see anything like actually dispensers like you have on the Vulture and the other ones. Shields. Yeah, we're gonna watch that one, that foot. This is just space magic poof. Is that what's going on? See the left side. There is nothing on the right side externals. I guess maybe. There's like a little box open slot area that looks kind of like it could be. But that's also on the other side. I don't know if that's the box slot. There's one on either side, but there's no like interface that you can see to actually pop it out. Oh, I see it now. Yeah. It's on both sides. It's supposed to be a challenger to the Vulture? It looks like it's less efficient than the Vulture. Doesn't look like it munches. Yeah, there's no muncher like you see in the other one, so it's just a scraper. Falls along with what X was saying for a while, which is that everything is going to have a hyper-specific niche. It's on pipeline. It's not worth fighting. If it's flyable in the files, then they'll be able to. It'll be released in 4.0.1 or 4.1, one of the two. It'll be soon. Maybe fuel siphon. There's no indication of anything like that. CIG hasn't talked about the fuel siphoning. There's no, as far as I know, there's nothing that's like out there that talks anything about those sorts of things. So I would say don't put your hopium out there. Oh wait, the bouncer bot is doing the weird thing. I forgot to turn off the timer. In my defense, I was very tired. I'm gonna turn off the timer. I'm so happy CIG's doing a late title card. Yeah. Did they kill siphoning? They haven't mentioned siphoning as far as I know, outside of, yeah, we plan on doing it someday. And if CIG says, like, I will remind you, chat, of soon, soon, and soon. There's 3 different soons. The first kind of soon is where literally, 3 different people or 4 different people in a department or the entire company is talking about something they're working on. That means it's coming out in the next patch or the next 2 patches. There's soon, which is sort of like CIG soon, where it's being worked on, but it's going to be like a year away. And then there's soon, which is just sort of like a soon TM, I should say, which basically means one person's mentioning it and it's never going to go from there.
Dig Dug just resubscribed for 37 months. Pizza Cult Unite.
Thank you so much there, 89 Dig Dug, for your very important but very impressive Pennsylvania pedestrian. This is your fault. There's one drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Oh. It has a size 2 salvage head and a back rectangles on the front are supposedly for disintegrators for munching. The black rectangles on the front are for munching. Oh, okay. It's Thanos Paul. Yeah. Are all soon spelled the same? It's soon, CIG soon, and soon TM. Those are the 3 soons. And if you haven't seen or heard anything recently by anyone mentioning anything about fuel siphoning, then expect it not to be coming out anytime soon. Are you okay? You seem a little tired. I'm always tired, Benjamin. But yes, I am tired. I'm fine, though. Oh, shoot. I forgot to change the title as well. I was very tired. Thank you. I forgot to change the Pubathon title. There we go. Thank you, X-Gamer. XE-Gamer. That was supposed to be on Monday. I just forgot to change the title. Tell me a new recently published Star Citizen lore story. Lore Daddy. We'll talk about that in a moment. There's talk in the Star Drum Tree about another day about MISC and Drake are kind of enemies. The reason why MISC would develop a Vulture competitor, is that true? Yes, 100%. In
Dem biddies.
You're dem biddies. In all like in defense of MISC, Drake fucking started it. And it's the Vulture that caused it in the first place. So the story is very brief. A whole sea lost navigation control and lost like everyone who on board died with all hands, and it's disappeared for months, creating a bunch of conspiracy theories about what actually happened, because on the actual whole sea there were multiple like art pieces, like very valuable art pieces, as well as other contents. So people thought that it was like some sort of weird hijacking, that the government had done it as a false flag so that they could pay for the Vandal War, whatever. It wasn't even the Vandal War at the time, just shit. Because this was like in the late 29th century. And then it was discovered that the crew had been killed and through a malfunction, and the ship had drifted into a asteroid cluster, like an L point, which was bathed in radiation. So it was wedged inside a small area that you couldn't get to with typical salvage ships. Like you couldn't get the reclaimer in there. at the same time, if you tried to EVA, you would be cooked from the inside out. So there's no way to get there. So MISC put up a bounty for anybody who could get access to the ship. And Drake said, bet. They took a experimental cutlass. They slapped some like manipulator arms on it. It was called the VLT-3, the Vertical Takeoff and Landing 3, Test 3. It was supposed to be a VTOL test for a cutlass. The cutlass black, like an early VTOL test. They modified it so that it could fit 2 people with some grabber arms. They cut their way in, went there, cut their way in, extracted everything. And then they said, okay, MISC, pay us the bounty money. It was like 10 million credits. And MISC said, fuck you, you violated the terms of the agreement, because they literally took the black box, copied the entire contents of the black box into their own files, and then gave it to MISC. Why? Because this was a gigantic snafu, and Drake wanted to find all the juicy details of what MISC fucked up on, so that when MISC inevitably lied about what actually happened to save face, Drake could throw it in their face and be like, you're a lying sack of shit. But MISC realized it had been copied and sued them in court and refused to pay them their bounty. So Drake then did a victory lap with the VLT-3, explaining how awesome they were and how MISC sucks ass. So in MISC's defense, Drake fucking started it, but I'm still on the side of Drake. Not the rapper, Drake Interplanetary. Sounds like a rad bath. Oh, goddamn. A Cutlass, what a surprise. Hey, shut the fuck up, okay? The Cutlass is a wonderful ship. Whenever somebody says, oh, well, all Drake ships are Cutlasses, and the Cutlass is awesome, why do you care? In Star Citizen, it seems only other corporations can keep corporations in check, lying to the public wise. Yeah, but I mean, like, it's the corporations in the Star Citizen universe have a vested interest in fucking each other over because they're often competing in the same markets. Ironically, the trillion-dollar corporations, or the trillion credit corporations, who basically mega corporations basically run the UEE, all hate each other. And so there is active competition in all fronts between them. So none of them have a monopoly. As dystopian as the Star Citizen universe is, it's still better than our current universe. My sister helped me get up Cuddy Black from the contested zone last week, so I will not be saying anything bad about the Cuddy until it gets wiped. Cutlass is a Cutlass. Yeah. Every Drake ship is a Cutlass. The Caterpillar is just the Drake Long. The Vulture is just the Drake Salvage. It's literally built off of a Cutlass. The Ironclad is just the thick Cutlass. The Herald is just the speedy Cutlass. The Buccaneer is just the snub Cutlass. The Kraken is just the capital Cutlass. I love the Steel. I love the Steel forever and always. It's the Steel's only problem is that CIG wanted you to pay $200 for it, which is a fucking ripoff. But otherwise, I love the Steel. It is so amazing. It is so perfectly in a actual video game that doesn't have the monetization that CIG has. The Steel would be a fan favorite because it is absolutely bonkers. The Kraken is the meta Cuddy, yeah. The Cutter is the Cutlass Junior, exactly.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away
Mule's
my
just the wheeled
spacesuit.
Cutlass.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No confuse.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Dry Khan just resubscribed for 39 months.
Thank you much, Drycon, for that 39 months to support your very important public, very precipice of any pedestrian. This is your fault. That you're drinking night. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. My problem with the steel is that all the stuff, all the stuff stuffed into the steel should be options to upgrade a regular cutty. Nah, I mean, not with how CIG builds things, unfortunately. Where's that cutlass logic coming from? I don't get it. It's inverse. It's the inverse logic, because in lore, multiple times Drake has tried to apply for military patents, and every time they apply for the military patents, the Navy just goes, Drake, this is just the cutlass again. And they're like, no, it's not. We changed it. We added a spoiler. And the military goes, go fuck off. And so the joke in verse is that every ship is a cutlass. Every ship that the Drake makes is a cutlass. And if you actually look at the design language, it is. Not gonna lie, the only thing I hate about the cutty steel is the everything that makes it a steel. Mule is just a cutty with wheels. It's a tiny cutty with wheels. Speaking of the best manufacturer, Drake, do you think there any chance we'll see an ironclad this year after that monthly report? Yeah, didn't they say it's moving into the into gray box? Ooh, I like the Xenothread. Ooh, ooh, I'm gonna spoil y'all. Ooh, ooh, they're updating Ruin Station, baby. That's Ruin Station. Ruin is definitely Xenothreat, and lore it's been Xenothreat the entire time. I was actually wondering if they're going to change it, but no, it seems like they are. Yeah, Boo's Xenothreat, I fucking hate him, but like, that's the lore. They're supposed to run Ruin right now. They're also supposed to make an absolute fuck ton of drugs out of that place, so. Look, hasn't CIG proven that they'll release a thing if they, even if they feel they need to make thing if they feel they need to make I didn't see it. Need to even if it's a terrible idea. I compare the Cutlass to how every Toyota 4x4 truck SUV is based on the Land Cruiser. Yeah, similar idea. So bad let rep with Xenothreat not landing at Ruin? Possibly. CIG has kind of hinted the idea that Xenothreat will be the forever bad guys, but never hold a grudge, but we'll see. Cutter Helix. Listen, we've talked about doing, we've talked about, we want CIG, like, on this stream, I've talked about how I want CIG to make a mule that's the mule steel, which is just the mule, but you take the back section off, replace it with a platform, and put a gun on the top, so you can have one person in the back on a mounted gun. want a mounted gun on the Grey Cat PPTV. Put a disco ball on the back for a cutter purple. Sounds like a death trap. Fire all parties. It sounds like a death trap. A beautiful, wonderful death trap. Let me put it this way. If they stuck one of those in like an outlaw encampment or like, you know, a hostile encampment when you're invading, when you're attacking, you would get onto the back of that thing and fire it into people. One size 5 gun that just rocks the whole thing when you fire it.
Them biddies.
You them
Yeah,
biddies.
the space racists so filled with hate they seek out trouble from non-humans, won't hold a grudge. That definitely sounds like racists, Sig. They're definitely not the sort to hold petty grudges for no reason, let alone earned grudges.
I mean, you're not wrong. I am interested to see how CIG deals with it, because also, as we've talked about, you even talked about it on the captain's table, which is I don't know if the Xeno threat sticks around for 1.0 launch. Hey, Loken. So Loken, I'm going to be probably a little late because I have to stick around for a little bit longer than I normally would at work. I'll try to be there somewhat on time, but I'll probably maybe like 30 minutes late. According to lore, which of the Pyro factions do you like the most? By the way, make a tier list for us. God, I'll do that live at some point. I'll do that next Monday. That's what I'll do. I'll make a tier list of the Pyro factions for my lore live streams on Mondays. But I will tell you right now, the best faction, the goodest boys of boys and girls and all options on the spectrum are the Pyro Rats, the Fire Rats. Fire Rats are the goodest goods who've ever good. Because the Fire Rats are the true inheritors of Pyro. They've been around since the fall of Pyrotechnic Amalgamated and have managed to survive somehow. They've developed an entire religion based off of their experiences, which a large portion of the of Pyro tends to agree with, tends to believe in as well. They don't believe that like Pyro is a god, but they believe in like the prophet of Pyro. And they've managed to survive for like 500 years as an organization. Like, that's impressive, considering everything that's happened. Like, if they weren't the option, then it'd be the Headhunters. And then... Well, we also have other ones like the Drop Kings and the Horizon Gang and all those other ones as well. But yeah, the Overlords, the Hi-Hats, which aren't in. We got snow on Tuesday, yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'm here to dazzle you with brilliance. Burn for the sun god. Literally praise the sun. That is what the Fire Rats are. I'm loving the gold. Yes, you would, Loken. Just repping the Golden Boys. Oh yeah, rough and ready too, yeah. Listen, I have, so for those of you who don't know, since Loken is here as well, and I've expressed this, my theory, which is a complete fan theory that has no basis in reality, is that the Star Citizen universe is the beginning of the dark age of technology in the 40K universe. And that what the Fire Rats are actually worshiping is a Catan. Because Pyro is a what is it called? It's a tomb world. Bloom is a tomb world. Because it could also be because the profit is on Monox. Because if my fan theory is correct, then the prophet doesn't actually say anything. It's not some sort of like weird vibration set off by solar flares. It's just Trazen fucking with people. That's what I mean. The Whispering Caves is just Trazen fucking with people. Yeah, I mean, I don't know many like people in the industry these days, not just like video games, but like entertainment industry that haven't heard of or played 40K. The number of people I see posting on various social medias talking about 40K, I'm like, you play Warhammer 40K? Like writers for major motion pictures, actors in said major motion pictures, sound designers, directors, television shows and animations. It's like holy shit, everyone fucking plays this goddamn game. I keep going, when the hell did our nerdy hobby becomes mainstream? I'll tell you how, Loken. It's that these people all were nerdy hobbyists before they became famous and didn't lose the hobby. That's it. Like Henry Cavill's an example, but like, let me pull him up real quick. See Robert Cargill, who wrote Black Phone, Sinister. He wrote the first Doctor Strange movie. He's podcasted with Junk Food Cinema. He is a massive 40K fan. Or not massive, he's a big 40K fan. You're taking a kid to the weekly D&D game in the library? Nice. UK gets mid-sized Land Cruiser Prado with the word Prado removed, so it's light-duty Land Cruiser. Okay. As much as I've been abroad in the board game scene, I never did play 40K. 40K is a little bit more obtuse to play. It definitely is a little bit more complicated. It's fun. I enjoy it, but a lot of the reason why 40K is so fun is because it has a really rich world and in-depth lore and canon with enough wiggle room to kind of make up your own stuff with rules that are serviceable. It's not the best wargaming you're ever going to play, and it can be really difficult to play at times. It's gotten better in some ways and worse in others, but, yeah. It's also way too expensive? Yes. Sorry I'm late. How about that server degradation, though? I haven't really seen much of the server degradation. And if rumors are to be true, by the way, then 40K might actually be a cheaper hobby than gaming, than video gaming, since, you know, they want to sell GTA 6 at $100 a pop for the standard edition, which means it's a fourth the cost of a console. And everyone knows that GTA 6 will sell out really well with $100, and then people will go, "Oh, we can charge $100 for our shit ass game," and you know they'll start pumping out games that are $100, and no one's gonna buy them. And I know. Before anybody in any Canadians pop in and be like, "Well, Paul, we've had $100 games for years." Cool. Have you had $150 games or $200 games? Because that's what they're saying. They're doubling the price, basically. Was CIG ever planning on ever getting 4.0.1 to live? I have no idea. I thought I'd never pay more than $80 for a game than I started SC. There are very few games that I've played extensively that I haven't spent more than the base price for. I'm a Halo fan, so I played Halo on the original Xbox and Halo 2 when it first came out, like when it dropped. I went out midnight release to pick it up. Played through it. I got the special edition, which I already paid more than the base price for. But people forget that like Halo 2 had an entire expansion disc for expansion maps that was like $40 that you had to pay for. You could download it, but you could also go out and pay for the actual disc and install it directly. And I did that. So I spent like $100 on Halo 2. Halo 3, I have the helmet edition, the legendary helmet edition. Plus, there's at least multiple, like one or two expansions you had to pay money for as well, like for like map packs and stuff like that. So, like pretty much every Halo game I've purchased, I've cost me more. In fact, the original Halo game I purchased with the Halo Xbox. Never paid more than $20 for a video game. Secret of Monkey Island, yeah. And then every other game that I've been into, I've paid more for. Like I got Titanfall 2's like helmet edition, so I got crazy expansions for that and that kind of thing. And it's I think I got the free expansions for Titanfall 2. I don't get to get the other stuff. But like I bring that up because I think a lot of people are under this impression that time is linear. That we have, it started with Horse Armor DLC, and now we are here with like battle passes and stuff like that. And the reality is, it's far more complicated because it's like, actually, we always had elements of this in the background. It was just not fully formulated. Like, all of us remember expansion packs. Like, Warcraft 2 had expansion packs. StarCraft had famously had expansion pack. StarCraft 2 was literally 3 different expansion packs. Have I missed anything yet? I'm still warming up. We're still, because we've only started for about 40 minutes. I started late, so. Like, even Morrowind had multiple expansion packs. And that was released in, like, 2004. So I'm not a fan of over monetization for the sake of monetization. I think a lot of people clutch their pearls at it because they're like, oh, well, this gaming used to be different. It's like gaming never was fucking different. It was just in terms of like trying to claw money out of you. It was just standards were a little higher. Like when you got an expansion pack, you got practically a new video game. It was using the same engine, it was using all the same stuff you knew, but it usually like added a couple of units here and there. It usually expanded the lore or a story. You know, it gave you some benefits beyond just sort of existing. You know, new maps, new weapons, that sort of thing. Yeah, but the expansions in Morrowinds were nearing the size of whole other games. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just that our standards for what an expansion should cost is completely different. Not talking about Star Citizen, but I hate how every dev seems to want to abuse the early access system, fix the game before releasing it, goddammit. I mean, that's what early access is for, but it requires a specific type of person to want to buy early access games. The biggest problem is to figure out the charlatans from the genuines, because there's plenty of charlatans who drop games into early access to update until it loses popularity, then drop the support entirely, move on to another early access game which builds up hype. They work on it until the hype drops, and then they drop it again. Those sorts of devs exist. They're a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. And unfortunately, it's super easy for them to make really flashy, good-looking, interesting concept games, which, if you actually do like kind of more in-depth research, are basically Unreal Engine assets cobbled together to try to mimic some other popular game that's usually an indie game that they think they can get people who are fans of those games to buy. The Day Before is an example, but like, I played a game called Heat when it first came out, which was by the same developer who did another game. I can't remember the name of it. It was like King's Reign or something like that. The concept was interesting, but it was effectively Ark. It had some novelties where like you could, like the other one was like the medieval game where you could, there's a big castle in the center of the map. If you went to the castle and sat on the throne and you held the throne long enough, you'd become the king, and then you could levy taxes on everybody else. So every time somebody would try to like harvest resources, a portion of your resources would be siphoned off to the king as taxes. And it was an interesting concept, but it died down pretty quickly after its initial start. And so they quickly, when Red Dead Redemption 2 was in its hype phases, they basically took that engine and made Red Dead Redemption 2, which is like you know, but in their own survival version. And they just abandoned that after they started working on that too. I'm not a fan of the new streamer tax. Pay extra to play the game 3 to 4 days earlier than the official release date. So we're saying Star Atlas is just UE5 assets? I don't know. Yeah, you have games like Daisy, Subnautica, 7 Days to Die, Kerbal Space Program. I'd argue Star Citizen is working its way into that category of early access games that's making its way. It really depends on how CIG supports Star Citizen and continues to improve its release this year, but we'll see. Oh, Space Engineers, another one. Though Space Engineers, the devs at Space Engineers did sort of do that because they created medieval engineers, but that was always sort of like a side project that they did for fun that they just decided to sell. No Man's Sky was released directly to people. It wasn't early access, which is why a lot of people got mad at it. No Man's Sky is a completely different version of a problem in gaming, which is just to release the game as released, completely broken, and then do a redemption arc by fixing it, by proving you needed another year to fix it. No Man's Sky deserves awards for the work they did? No, actually. I would say Hello Games needs to be blamed for the rash of early release, because they weren't the first, but they think they were the one who popularized release early and fix it later, because the gamers will forgive you. It's the reason why, you know, Cyberpunk was released like that. It's the reason why... Oh, what's another famous one for that? It's sort of kind of like got a redemption arc. It wasn't completely broken. It didn't have all the features that were hyped when it was released. There were some major issues, on top of just like straight up lying on the packaging. Now, they've done a better job of like improving what it was, and it's not their fault necessarily. There was a lot of other factors in there. It's a small development team, and they trotted out their lead developer, who isn't Chris Roberts and or Hideo Kojima or Peter Molyneux or Cliffy B, who knows how to talk to the press and talk to an audience. I forgot the name of the Sean something, right? Sean B, something like that. Yeah, he's a developer. He's a designer. He's an artist and that kind of stuff. Sean Murray. And yeah, it's clear he was like, you don't bring him onto the fucking Tonight Show. Crazy seeing No Man's Sky White Knights. Welcome back to the land of the living. No Man's Sky is good. It's gotten better. The problem, in my opinion, it was always that it was mismarketed. It was Sony saw dollar signs, and Hello Games never stopped them, and they couldn't shut up. Which, you know, as Star Citizen fans, we can't relate at all, can we, Chris? And like when I saw it and I did my research for it, I was like, this is a fun survival game in space. That sounds great. You know, I enjoyed Astroneer. I'll enjoy this. Excited about Dune Awakening, and which faction are you interested in? I don't know what Dune Awakening is. I'll probably get dragged into it by somebody. MMO Dune. What kind of MMO though? Are we talking like the Dune MMO that was Conan Outlands or whatever it was called? That style? Conan Exiles? Isn't it made by the same team that did Conan Exiles? The problem I have with Star Citizen is that it was a game Chris knew he couldn't deliver 10 years ago. The tech wasn't there. Now it almost is. I find that kind of selling the lie to an extent. I disagree, Rain. I don't think he didn't know the tech was there 10 years ago. The tech was there 10 years ago. He just knew it was going to take a while to develop it. I maintain that the reason why Star Citizen is taking so long is twofold. The first is that they're building the plane while they're flying it. So Chris was never intending to do what he's doing now. He was intending for the original pitch. The original pitch was basically Starfield. It was Starfield with, but an MMO. And when he raised money, his original plan was to take that money, and this isn't like secret information, this has been out there. He said it himself, to raise enough money so that he could then attract investors and then use those investors' money to complete the project, with a small team. Considering the scale and size of what CIG was trying to do, Star Citizen was trying to do, that could have been done. And then they made so much goddamn money that Chris was like, I don't even need investors. We'll just keep doing this. And so that process meant that we were going to get a longer development, because it meant that we had more access to playing it because we were the backers for it. So we would get early access, which means that they would have to support it every step of the way, which means every release has to be bug tested in a way that most alpha builds don't, because they don't go out to the public. So we're going to get to the monthly report here in a moment there, Alex. And then the second thing is 2015, Frankfurt. When Frankfurt showed that you could do procedural planetary landings in Star Citizen, that entirely fucked the game. 2015 reset the clock entirely. Basically, everything from before 2015 is gone. So for the first 3 years of Star Citizen development, it was basically thrown out the window. And while that sounds like, well, that's really inefficient, that's video games. It's not even that surprising for video games to do that. There are so many games that have done that in the recent past, which many games which were game of the year kind of monumental landmarks, including World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft was originally developed on the Warcraft 3 engine, completely didn't work. They tossed the whole fucking thing out and started from scratch. Yeah, I know the Dune lore to a degree, yeah. I recommend the What Happens series on YouTube, where he goes over trouble development for games. I'd have to take a look, yeah. BioShock Infinite was redone a couple of times. Overwatch, yeah. The 2015 was basically an engine change, yeah. Halo started as a RTS game, then became a third-person shooter, and then became a first-person shooter. It started as an RTS game on the Macintosh, because Bungie were Macintosh developers. Destiny 1 started as 2 different games. Basically, Bungie couldn't figure out if they wanted to make another space science fiction shooter or to do some sort of fantasy epic. And so they just said, no, Keith, ¿por qué no los dos? And then created Destiny. Yeah, Fortnite was originally a horde-based crafting game. The reason it was called Fortnite was because you were supposed to survive a certain number of waves, a certain number of times, and you were building forts to protect yourself. That's why it was called Fortnite. It was a zombie game. No, the battle royale mode was basically a mod, something that like a version that they created to compete with PUBG. I'm glad we're done with those days. I remember when every game that came out was a PUBG clone. Because PlayerUnknown, PUBG, or PU, then the PUBG comes from PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. PlayerUnknown made a mod for not even DayZ, but it made a mod for the DayZ mod on Arma 3. That's where PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds comes from. It was a Arma mod that then got turned into its own standalone game based off of that Arma mod. And because that Arma mod was so popular, it was mimicked in Minecraft. They created the Hunger Games in Minecraft. Did they rename it PUBG Battlegrounds? They seriously renamed it PUBG Battlegrounds. Because PUBG Battlegrounds is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. What the fuck? ATM machine all over again. My favorite coverage is from Star Citizen, a guy called White Light. It's a little outdated, but most of his points still stand. Am I about to look into somebody who says that Star Citizen is secretly killing you? Bro's he doesn't even do Star Citizen content anymore. Whew, I hate to say it. He's got to type all his videos. All his videos are talking about how these games suck. Like all of his video, he's like, I hate video games. That's what I'm getting from all of his videos. Like he did multiple serious critiques of Minecraft, did critiques of Destiny, every Assassin's Creed game, Life is Strange. I'm just gonna analysis of that one. His latest one was Assassin's Creed Valhalla 4 years later. Before that was Assassin's Creed Mirage, then Control, another serious critique of Minecraft, the boundless mediocrity of Suicide Squad, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Far From Perfect. Like, I get it. It sells, but yeah. Everyone's got a bias. Everyone's got a shtick. I'm a lore guy. You know, I do stuff like this and I do lore stuff. So don't come to me expecting, in-depth PvP guides. But it's when you take one look at this channel, I'm like, yeah. 100%. Yeah, it's one of those. I got more views hating video games, so now everything is. Is this salty, Mike? No. No, it's, that's pretty balanced. His titles sound negative, but he goes from positives and negatives on them. I guess I can't be too incredulous. It's just when every single one of your titles is like, this game is mid. Inlate, looking forward to the Vulcan in the report. I don't think we're going to see much. I mean, basically, me glancing through this tells me that like most of the stuff, it's not going to be a very long one. It's because this is from 2 months. So this is from a combination of November and December. I dislike professional complainers. I understand the need to go negative. I mean, I literally posted the after dark, the Q&A session for the captain's table on the new channel, by the way. You should go check it out. Because the last question was the spicy question, which was asking if Death of a Spaceman is a good idea. I said, is Death of a Spaceman is Death of a Spaceman a bad idea is the title, and the thumbnail is Dead on Arrival, because it's a little pun. And I was like, oh, this is going to get people pissed. One way or the other, people are going to get riled up. And I was right. It is the best performing video on the new Captain's Table podcast channel by far. It is almost at 1,000 views. Yemix is great, but Yemix is also a shitposter. I started following Yemix when he did Kerbal Space Program videos, so. I didn't watch it. I just commented on the title. You should watch it, Jin. It's you were there, Jin. I don't know why you didn't do that, but yeah. Paul's learned what Facebook learned 20 years ago. I don't like doing it, but I know it works. Because nobody clicks on a title about information. You have to make it bombastic or authoritative or controversial. Yeah, that's why I'm pretty easygoing on stuff like that. Harness the rage. Yeah, I think the In Case You Missed It sale would make for more sense for a model year-end clearance. Linus Tech tips whole shtick. Yeah. I mean, I was in marketing for a while. I get it. I understand it. I wasn't in advertising. I was in research, so it was a little different, but I understand it. I get it. I understand the psychology behind it. I just don't like it. Because as somebody personally who is not really, doesn't really enjoy that sort of drama clickbaiting, like I don't like those videos. I take one look at it and go, I'm not going to watch it. This is just a video that's going to shit on something, and I don't want to like sit here and shit on something. I'm much more in favor of the like 3-hour mysteries, unsolved mystery, podcast stuff and those sorts of things. Intrigue me or tease me to get me to click, make me go, oh, I would like to learn more, because that to me is good marketing. That is the way to like set expectations properly. You come in and now you're suddenly like, I was promised steak. I walked in, you brushed me off. You asked me to have a seat. You tucked my chair in and you served me steak. I'm like, damn, okay, I enjoyed this experience eating my steak. Whereas like the rage bait videos are like, hey, can you help me? My mother was poisoned by a billionaire rich man who is currently killing my dog. And you're like, oh no, let's go get mad at this billionaire rich man. And you walk in and like the rich man is sort of like having pinochle with his mom and the dog is just on his lap. And you're going, what's this? And it's like, oh, sorry, yeah. He got mad at my mom and punched her, but now we're friends. It's like, what the fuck am I watching? What the fuck? Why did you do this? You a Wendigoon follower? I love Wendigoon. Wendigoon's great. I've known Wendigoon since his, my wife watched Wendigoon because of his iceberg video, the big long iceberg video he first did on unsolved mysteries or conspiracy theories. And so we used to watch it together while we were painting minis. Give me the honest shit. If you hate it, you hate it. If you like it, you like it. Yeah. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to do a standalone video on Death of a Spaceman. And like, I'm going to title it, You're Wrong About Death of a Spaceman. That's what it is. It's kind of a continuation of an old series I started called You're Wrong About, where I kind of explained why the community is overreacting. So now you need to tell us the true story about the rich man. What trauma are you talking about? Like, I just pulled shit out of my head, like things that people would get mad about, billionaires punching old ladies and stealing dogs. Like that's an easy sort of pull at your heartstrings mad stuff. Spaceman continues getting updated, so we actually need to properly get a two-year video on it. Not really that much. It's not really changed that much. People are afraid of Death of a Spaceman. Yeah. It has changed. We know it's changed. Regen. Regen is Death of Spaceman. It's the same thing. I'll give you the very short thing, and then we'll go into. I'll go get some water so I don't die of stuff, and then we'll watch. We'll read through the Squadron 42. I'll make a capsule on the Squadron 42 thing newsletter, and then I'll do a capsule on this and we'll kind of call it there. The reason why people think Death of a Spaceman is bad, in my opinion, based off of what I've seen, typically is that people think it's permadeath. So when they hear Death of a Spaceman is permadeath, they immediately go, why would you put permadeath in a game like this? It's going to ruin the game. When the reality is, it's not really permadeath. Even when you permadie, you don't permadie. You inherit all of your player's previous stuff with some like wealth tax added to it. The nurse ad was awful. That was one of the worst ads CIG has done because it's clearly no one was in the fucking room when they wrote that ad. Yeah, you lose, you have to spend a little bit of money and you lose some reputation. That's it. Will they ever revert the respawn from my bed requirements? From my, what do you mean? I think it adds up more to value of your life. The only problem I have is that it will heavily discourage PvP. Yeah, but also there's a couple of things. Number one, your ship explodes. Your ship is not going to explode or be much harder to explode in the game going forward. Once engineering is in, which should be soon, hopefully. When they get rid of soft death and actually do like components-based damage, components-based operational damage, you're going to see a complete change on how you fight in PvP, because it'll be a lot more expensive and time-consuming to actually kill people, you know, because the CIG wants to encourage people to like board other people's ships and stuff like that. And as a result, there'll be more value. It'll be much harder to kill people via ships. And they will down more people. You'll get downed more often. But CIG should and probably will add in features like NPC rescues, where like you can get like a trauma team sort of experience where NPC will come and rescue you if you get downed. Hard to be very confident we get too much new stuff with the playability as the focus. Yeah. I know tier 3 injuries exist, but I really don't see the point of in medbeds not respawning going forward. All medbeds respawn. The limitations is going to be distance and, in my opinion, capacity. Regen gel is a thing that you'll probably have to load into your med beds. We already know that there are multiple med beds which have been equipped with inventories in them. And the only reason why CIG would code them with inventories in them if you had to actually put stuff in that inventory. So, yeah, there's going to be components you have to add that it's going to fuel the med beds, you know, like we have hydrogen and heat, you know, which powers a ship, or, you know, you have to manage in the ship. You're going to have medical supplies, which you're going to have to manually load into a med bed, including regen gel. Yeah, 2 people can't spawn at once. The reality is that most of what you are going to experience with Death of a Spaceman is going to be minor, because even if all of those things fail and you just get down forever, you lose a little bit of your IVS score, imprint viability score. So your hard health bar goes down. But I think people think that the IVS score is going to go down in like 4 hits. Like, oh, I die 7 times, I know I get a regen. And the reality is that CIG wants you to live long enough to have to install a cybernetic limb. They wouldn't go to the extent of creating a system for cybernetic limbs if they didn't want you to fucking use it in game. So there's going to be a reason either to install one on yourself or to get one for medical purposes, and you're going to need to replace it. So it would be stupid for them to build a system that is only going to be used once and no one's going to ever use it again. And while I know some people think that CIG are the like dumbest developers that have ever existed, they're not that stupid. And the last thing to like illustrate is that it's not coming out anytime soon. CIG wants to make it come out sooner than later, but there's no chance that we're going to see it come out until 1.0. And then we might see it in beta before it reaches 1.0 just so they can test it. Old concepts now, replacement limbs, character 2.0 is old hat, long gone. That doesn't mean it doesn't. They're not still working on it. They just haven't picked it up again. The CIG's passionate and make foolish decisions sometimes, but they're not stupid. They would understand these concepts. This is like fundamental 101 game development, especially since what Chris has talked about in the first place. His inspiration behind the whole concept is Dark Souls. But even in The Death of a Spaceman, he says, I don't want this to be one-to-one Dark Souls, because that would be too punishing. But he did take inspiration from that system to create Death of a Spaceman. The idea that you can fuck up and you can still recover from that fuck up, but if you fuck up too many times, goodbye. Have they said anything in the intention for multiple people spawning at the same time? If in a non-Javelin we're on the same bed, our core base, and the ship blows up, we just sit there and queue and spawn one at a time over the next few hours? My guess would be if you only have one, first off, if you have a Javelin and you only have one regen bed, what the fuck? like seriously, what the fuck? Like you built a goddamn or a cruiser and didn't think to like have more than one bed to respawn in, but you're also likely going to have the option to regen at the last known location or have an option of where you go. We just don't have that systems in place because CIG hasn't developed it because it's not worth it yet. I didn't say it was a good core. Corp. I just don't know how they'll balance it with things like contested zones that players will want to run over and over again. Bring friends. Contested zones aren't designed to do solo. They're designed to be as a group. So how are they going to balance it? You're going to do it as a group. You get rescued by friends. Yeah, and also you're supposed to be fearful. Like the whole idea of of Death of a Spaceman is that death should scare you. It should be something you're wary of. It shouldn't be something that prevents you from doing anything because it's not going to hurt you that much. But it should be something that you think about before you do actions, something that will make you pause, because it's supposed to give you a little bit more value for your life. And on top of that, you can, as they've said in the past, they want you to be able to do missions that can re-up your IVS score. So you can literally take that score, that is your hard health bar of how long you're going to have left, and refill it. You just have to do missions for certain people in order to get that done. So you just have to do things you may not want to do if you want to improve a bit. Whoa, what? I definitely missed out on that detail. That's huge. Because nobody reads the fucking lore. It's literally in the, it was literally in the discussion about regen when it first popped out. It was literally what the writers have said is that they want to give you the ability to refill your death bar, but you'll have to do missions for specific organizations, and it's going to be a whole song and dance. They stated at SitCon too, yeah. It's really hard to read all the lore, but if you're going to be an expert in a topic, you have to read everything about it. So if you want to say, I dislike Death of a Spaceman, it's like, cool, have you read everything about Death of a Spaceman? If the answer is no, or you barely even read the actual Death of a Spaceman design document, which is still up on the website, then you're panicking for nothing. I appreciate everything you do, bro. Thank you. No problem, Star. My point is like, I know why people panic. I also know that most people don't bother to do their research. They much would rather live in doom scrolling nightmares than actually sit down and do something. They'd rather believe in conspiracy theories that involve crazy ideas of devs that purposely damage their games because they don't give a shit about anything but like ships than like do any research. Which is why a bunch of folks come in and say like,
Dem biddies.
So, would doing missions for the Pyro rats fill he doom bar or empty it?
Well, in that case, that you fill the doom bar because you want it to be feel doom, because you want to feel the profits overtake you. Thank you for the pities. But I mean, it's one of the reasons why I'm pretty sure I get a lot of folks who come on and say, I'm a white knight. It's like, because I don't immediately say everything that CIG does is evil. Because if you say anything nice about CIG, or you try to be like, hey, this is what CIG is meaning because CIG is just awful at explaining things, people say, oh, you're just defending them for no reason. It's like, there's a lot of things that I don't like about CIG, and I've been very, very clear about it. One of my big things that I don't like is how they make fucking ships. I think their way of doing ships is way too rule of cool and doesn't have any consistency. They have no fucking idea what they're doing when it comes to making ships. And yes, I am talking to the ship directors. If you are watching this, please set out an actual platform of what the fuck your ships are supposed to be. Because right now, it doesn't make any fucking sense and never has. And the problem is that every so often CIG will get something up their butt and go, oh, we're going to fix this. We're going to come up with these good classifications. We're going to go from there. And then 2 years later, they fucking do it again. They've been doing it for every 2 to 3 years for 12 years, for 13 years now. This is what they've been doing. And it's like fucking pick a lane. That's what they were doing with master modes, but now they're backpedaling heavily because they're like, well, people didn't like that. It's like, pick a fucking lane. So touching back in Dark Souls, I don't think the game's too punishing for dying. You lose a buff for your health and your souls, but you can easily recover them and resolve a debuff. More importantly, you don't lose your gear. And that was the inspiration behind Death of Spaceman. Like, Death of Spaceman is going to be even less of a problem. To be fair, none of the lore is final to 1.0. I'll read what they start implementing the lore in the game, and it's not going to be radically changed on me, a la beta-esque Star Citizen. I get it, but like, the lore justifications, because every CIG puts lore in everything, the lore justifications for anything that they've written about will tell you what CIG's development plans are. So while I know people don't want to get like super invested in a bunch of lore, that's not the point. The point is, if you're interested in the development of Star Citizen, paying attention to lore gives you an idea of what CIG is planning, because they don't write anything unless the developers have told them to write it. Beyond like very fundamental sort of world building design documents, they won't in world building kind of settings, they're not going to do anything that's detailed unless it's already connected to an in-game feature. What's the lore reason for the Corsair nerf? Drake. Latest PTU is so yummy. They're doing a great job. Is it doing pretty good now? They definitely did say at the launch, if you look back, they actually, in the Q&A, they said that they're planning on, they thought that they were going to possibly swap the bottom gun. They said that maybe the two bottom guns might swap off. For now, they have the gun. The pilots have the guns, but we're planning on switching that in the future. I'm really curious how engineering is going to change solo viability of medium to large ships. Like, is Connie a soloable Star Lancer? Yes, all ships are soloable. They're not effective. And if you get into a fight with a Star Lancer and you're solo, you're fucked. Same with a Connie. Like, there might be some automatic systems you can get to help you out, but until post 1.0 when they have NPCs, you're going to have to rely on other players. But yeah, like, I mean, going back to my original point, my point is I have plenty of critiques of CIG. And I think those are more important for CIG to address than like a discussion about ships. Like a discussion about like, should we sell ships or not? It's like, who cares? Like honestly, who gives a shit? I know some people do. I know some people earnestly are like, this is going to destroy the game. And it's like, cool, it would have destroyed the game 12 years ago. It still hasn't. It won't destroy the game. Like, have you seen the industry? Do you know what a shark card is? Do you know what a battle pass is? People spend more money on fucking gacha games than they do on Star Citizen. Like let's take that realistically. Is it upsetting because we all thought Star Citizen would be a little different? Yeah, same. Like, but at the same time, it is what it is. And I think arguing that point over and over again about discussing whether it should be a subscription-based game or what it is now or whatever, it's like that's completely irrelevant to the discussion because that doesn't actually change anything. And that's like a CIG can figure that out post 1.0 down the line sort of situation. The thing that's more important are things that are going to fundamentally change how this game functions when it reaches 1.0. I was excited for new ships. I like new shiny things. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about, yeah. I know a person who goes for every pull in this gacha game we play. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely up there with this, with saying, hey, we need to hold developers to higher standards, and I agree. But Star Citizen isn't EA. No offense, Jin, or Ubisoft. It's not Blizzard. You know, you're not looking at a company that its CEO like has, you know, done inappropriate things to every employee and the employees' pets. You know, it's not Rockstar where they force their employees, no matter what, to go to strip clubs with the management in order for them to even get their ideas heard by management. Like, from all intents and purposes, CIG's a pretty okay place to work. Some cases, it's the best place that people have ever worked in gaming. Some places, it's all right. And it's like, oh, well, We're spending money to make sure that a game company is pretty okay to its employees while it's developing a game that's hopefully going to be better. That's not fucking news. It's like, okay. A 6-month hiatus on new ships features while they focus on bug fixes would do wonders for the citizen morale. That doesn't really work though, because all of the ships that will release in 6 months are already in development. They're already being worked on. Like, they're already done. So like them saying we're not going to release ships for half a year doesn't make a lot of sense. Sadly, that doesn't lure in clicks, and that's my point. Like, Star Citizen, in the broad scheme of things, is an ambitious tech project, which is the dream of Chris Roberts from when he was trying to do in the 90s. It's his sort of ultimate ambition game. And I can see it. I can see the design. If you play the old Wing Commander games, you can see that sort of creep in. But, like, it's not nearly as controversial as people think. That's an interesting take. I know people was like saying releasing ships, saying that, but releasing new ships raises community morale. I've seen morale. I think I've seen it more times than otherwise. The releases raise morale. When CIG releases patches, it raises morale. Ships are included in patches, which gets people's attention. Like, that's what it is. When CIG releases content, releases something on time, people are like, hey. And while that seems kind of weird, remember, most of the gaming companies out there don't release regular content, other than content which you have to pay like a subscription for or a battle pass for. Like, you're paying like $30 to get content that's released that's, you know, often just like a couple of skins, maybe a new character model, maybe some new locations. And if you don't, it goes away forever. So you constantly have to pay attention. CIG at least doesn't do that. I know you're going over the Lord Space games. If you haven't heard of it yet, Verse Project, maybe a game you'd like to look into. They're at the beginning stages, but I think you'd be serious potential. I'll take a look at it real quick, and then I'll go get some water because I've been delaying. Project. Single shard space flight experience. Okay, so it's a single shard MMO. Oh, ho, 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 ho. This reminds me heavily of another space survival game that I played a lot when I first got Partner. It's in fact where my ending screen for a long time, it's on YouTube, comes from. I forgot the name of it because it ended up failing, and I feel like I blame myself because I feel like I caused it to fail, which I couldn't have, but you know. A sort of more hardcore take on space travel. It's a little bit of Space Engineers, the MMO, a little bit. Looking for an Unreal developer, a Java developer, and yeah. Community-driven game universe, economics, faction warfare, and global events. Not on the devs, it's just I've heard that Sony often. An immersive exploration in highly detailed physical space, fully generated one-to-one scale universe based on real scientific data. Looks interesting. We'll see how quickly it fails. I'll look into it, but I've seen this, I have heard this song before, and it always doesn't do as well as people hope. I hope it's better than the other ones have. But I mean, dual universe. This is what this reminds me of. It reminds me of. A little bit of Space Engineers. There's another one that was like similar to Space Engineers, which is similar to this, where like you had like with robots fighting each other. Thank you, Deep Light. I'll take a look at it. Who's their team? They don't have anyone listed on their team. Synthesis Games. Or Synthes Games. Looks interesting. From gamers for gamers. Okay. This is like a very small studio, like a couple people maybe. There's literally 231 people following them on Twitter. Oh, yikes. The last update they made, well, it's probably because it's on Twitter. They said the last update they made was in November 13th, 2024. So it's like, that's been a long time ago. It looks like they were doing like one a month. They skipped October. They did September, August. A lot in August. This was announced in August? Looks like it was announced in July, June, May, 27th, April, March, June 2023. It's been around for a while. (2022) concept art 2022. Yeah, so October 13th, 2022. Okay. Interesting. I'd be interested. I'd like to hear from the development team what their plans are for long term. Like, what's their roadmap to release in a way that's like quantifiable. So it's not a Star Citizen killer. No, it's definitely not in the same vein as Star Citizen. I would say it's more in the vein of something like No Man's Sky in terms of like, not like, it's like No Man's Sky but hardcore, like actual No Man's Sky, and actual like space stuff. It's like No Man's Sky and well, I guess I don't know if No Man's Sky is a single shard. We'll see. Yeah, I didn't have the energy or lifespan for a new project. Again, I can't remember the name of the game, but there's a game that I played a lot of where you would jump, you were in space and you had a spaceship and you jump to different locations, and inside those locations you would loot abandoned outposts, like abandoned space stations, for resources, and you'd bring them back to your ship, and then you'd kind of fix up your ship and like attach things to your ship to make it better. And it was really difficult to like dock, for instance. It was fun. I loved it, but and it might have been Helios. No. not seeing it here. No, this was like 2016, 2017. I want to say it was like an M name. Adrift. It was Adrift. No. It was a first-person adventure game. That's not it. I remember that one, though. Maybe it was 2017. Hellion, yes. Or Helion, yeah. Not gonna lie, ever since CitizenCon, I'm losing my mind waiting for base building. You're gonna wait even longer. I think the earliest we'll see base building is probably going to be this summer if it goes into preview of some kind, but it'll probably be more like the end of this year. All right. I am going to go use the restroom, and when I come back, we will and grab something to drink. We'll do the report for the monthly report.
Stand by for Titanfall.
All right. Well, we'll do Squad 42 first, and then we'll do monthly report.
Barcelona! 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 Barcelona!
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Barcelona! 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 Barcelona!
Hit this ball.
Barcelona! Barcelona! Barcelona!
I'm gonna turn it off, chat. I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna have to turn it off anyways, so. All right. Are you ready, chat? We're gonna start our capsule for the Squad 42 newsletter. Your background screen, or did you paint the wall green? Walls painted green. All right. 3, 2, 1. All righty, welcome back to another Office Hours capsule. That's right. This is a short segment of my Office Hours live stream I do on Thursdays, live at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPub live. Come join us at 8 p.m. Eastern. Yes, 5 p.m. Pacific. To join this wonderful chat here. Am I muted? Fuck off. Chat. I'm gonna stop recording. I'm not muted. God damn it. All right, one more time. Skeet. All right, one more time. Alrighty, it's time for another Office Hours. Capsule. You can only see half my face. That's right, Capsule. This is an Office Hours, a segment of Office Hours live stream that I do on twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPub live at twitch.tv and YouTube on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Pacific. No, 9 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Come join us live, join chat here, who trolls me constantly. This is the second time I've had to do this because someone said, "You're muted, Paul," and I immediately believed them. This is where we talk about Star Citizen lore news and more. I leave the VODs up for like long streams, so if you want to sit back, relax, and enjoy a longer section of this, especially if you're, doing long sessions at the game of gaming or model painting or working out, and you need to have something in the background, enjoy our weird conversations that we have constantly. Well, but before we get started, I want to remind you that I have 2 things you need to check out. First off, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow us here on YouTube as well, or subscribe on YouTube and hit the like button if you enjoyed this. And of course, a lot of people are starting to move over, but I'd love to have you join over if you've been watching our Captain's Table in the past. Captain's Table has a brand new location. It is the Captain's Table podcast on YouTube, all one word. You can put the little @ before it. I'll put the link down below so that you can go there as well. Make sure you go there if you've been missing those videos, because that's where it's going to live now. And in the future, that's where it's going to be live streamed as well. All right, without any further ado, let's talk about the Squadron 42 newsletter. Let's take a look. All right, so Echoes of the Verse, Squadron 42 newsletter, orchestra showcase, wallpapers, and ringtones. January Spotlight. Kick off the year with January's Squadron 42's newsletter. This month, we're bringing the exclusive video featuring the soundtrack's orchestral recording, downloadable wallpapers, and epic ringtones to personalize your devices. Proudly display your allegiance to the UEE and Squadron 42. Download your favorites below. Before and after. Take a look at the music of Squadron 42, from digitally created sounds to rich tones of a real orchestra. The difference speaks for itself. And as Captain McLaren says, it was a good trade. All right, let's take a listen. I've already listened to this. Hold yourself. It is pretty good. And we even have a new song, which we've only heard snippets of, which is the anthem or the hymn of the UEE Navy, which is pretty cool. Civic Square. Here it comes. If you're getting strong Pirates of the Caribbean vibes, that's because Jeff Sinelli, the composer for Squadron 42, is the composer for Pirates of the Caribbean. And you might say, but Paul, wasn't that Hans Zimmer? Yeah, but Hans Zimmer asked a lot of his understudies to tackle the Pirates soundtrack. He was the main composer. And so Jeff Sinelli managed to draw the straw to create the song called He's a Pirate, which we know as the theme of Pirates of the Caribbean. And he was brought on in the subsequent 2 movies afterwards, and every movie since the 4th one, he has been the main composer on. So it does definitely remind me very much of the one song that we hear in Pirates 3, where like they start singing as they're being hung. That's very similar. But yeah, that, I gotta say, the bagpipes with I guess, what is the name of those Japanese drums that they said they were using? Because that's what you can hear in the background, the drums, it's like Tonto? No, it's not Tonto. Taiko, thank you, Taiko. The Taiko drums. Those combined is just like, who you brilliant madman. That is so good of a combination. The deep bass with the piercing of the bagpipes. I'm not a music guy. I don't know how music people talk, but like, yeah, it's good. I like it. And that last song, I may have heard that multiple times. Go check it out if you have a chance to. Wallpapers. Aaron, what does Paul Enright desktop wallpaper. Decorate your desktop with Commander Ryan Enright, played by Henry Cavill, and his trusty Aegis Gladius. You may see this as the thumbnail for this because I'm probably going to use this as a thumbnail. It's pretty good. Captain McLaren mobile wallpaper. Enhance your mobile phone or tablet with this official UEN portrait of Captain Rachel McLaren, played by Gillian Anderson. Really good setup here. Ringtones. We're bringing the symphony to your pocket. You can now answer the call with the sound of the spacefaring adventure, because nothing says Monday morning calls like waking up to an epic dose of bagpipes. All right, I'm going to have to download this. Yeah, I'm going to see if we can do that. I'll forget it later. And then show your allegiance to the fleet with exclusive I Fly Navy sticker set available for Squadron 42 newsletter subscribers. This limited run trio comes in varying sizes, perfect for your phone, a battle station, or even your starship, or, your car. A bold statement for those who dare to fly. Set of 3. So it's the I Fly Navy, the Squadron 42 sticker, and the Navy Flight Academy. Oh, that's interesting. It's neat. $12 is a little steep, but as somebody who has a spouse who is very interested in stickers, that's actually pretty on brand. Most stickers are fairly expensive these days. and Squadron 42. At one point, it said Squadron 42 coming in 2026 or launching in 2026. I think that's maybe on the email side of things, but. So yeah, fairly short, very punchy. The music is great. I definitely check out for the wallpapers and stuff like that are pretty cool. But nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy. It's still kind of on track as far as we know into 2026. So, but I definitely check it out if you haven't already, just so you can on your own just experience that music. It's really, really good. And I will pull up the actual lyrics behind it because there is a lyrics. Okay, so the lyrics, as Jeff posted, that were cut into there is, when darkness is all around us, our light and our might shines for all. We stand up for those in peril to fight so our world cannot fall. We pledge our lives in sacrifice to honor our righteous cause, united in purpose all. Those are the lyrics we heard. So, yeah, pretty good. That's it is. Of course, I always want to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. Let me know. Are you interested in seeing more of these Squad 42 updates? Do you like what we've heard? What else do you want to hear from Squadron 42? What would you personally like to hear from CIG and Squadron 42 updates going forward? Because I've heard some people kind of talk that maybe this is like the beginning of a marketing push that CIG is going to start doing, because this is a lot more formal marketing than a monthly report might be. But thank you for watching. As I mentioned before, like the video if you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and hit the bell icon to be notified when this is released. Thank you for watching, and join this chat live Thursdays. Again, 9 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. And like I always say, hope to see you someday in the black. All right, recording done. Sounds are still off. They're gonna be on for a bit. Pirates 1 Zimmer didn't have a lot of. It had times we had a lot of guys like Zanelli helping out. Yeah, that's what Zanelli talked about as well. Was that there was just a lot of folks, and he was a young, eager composer who just like, fuck it, I'll go for it. And he was the one who composed He's a Pirate, which, again, iconic. And if you listen to the Squadron 42 soundtrack, it is very much as Jeff Zanelli soundtrack. Also, like Pedro, I feel like Pedro and Jeff are like, they're like, oh, that's what this game is. All right. Let me write a fucking banger. Let me take what they just did and elevate it to the highest point you have ever heard a video game go. Maybe that's a little over dramatic, but like, holy fuck do those bagpipes hit. They are so fucking good, and it's disgusting how good they are. Bagpipes should never sound that good. I don't care, Scottish folks. That should be illegal for bagpipes to sound that good. I'm going to pull up the ringtones to see what they sound like. Wow, okay. Sorry, blow your ears out. I didn't realize it was that high. Okay. Just a clip version. What? Deafened everybody there. It's the hymn of the UEE Navy, actually. Caniac. That's what Jeff in an interview said that it's actually or either in an interview or on Twitter, he said that that's the hymn of the UEE Navy. They actually came up with a full-blown hymn for it. And it's like, because he said it has lyrics. I was like, it has lyrics? Can I hear it? And he's like, eventually. And now I know why he said eventually, because it's literally in the second major scene of the game after you complete the prologue. Which is interesting because I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that hymn is old. Like that hymn was written for the UNE fleet, the UNE Navy, back after unification. Because again, let's lead me to the slaughter. Oh, sorry, wrong universe. Because the lyrics, when darkness is all around us, our light and our might shines for all. We stand up for those in peril to fight so our world cannot fall. We pledge out lives in sacrifice to honor our righteous cause, united in purpose all. Were they performing it in Latin? I didn't catch any of them words. Oh, let me play it again and hopefully not blow out your ears this time. But yeah, you can actually pick it out. I'll play it as high as possible. And at this point, if you don't have earphones, I would suggest listening to them on earphones because you can pick them out and you listen to the earphones. Yeah. Blood for the blood guy, skulls for the skull furniture. The Church of Squad 42, yeah. Like the lyrics are pretty good. The hymn is pretty good, but it's just when those bagpipes hit with those taiko drums, it's just like it does something to my brain. Yeah, like I could pick out a little bit on the first time I watched it, and then as I kind of listened to it more and more, I kind of picked them up a little more. And then with the lyrics, you can pick them up though, yeah. If I don't see that performed live at the Game Awards in 2026, I'm going to be sad. That would be amazing if they could get the hymn to play with bagpipes and such. Yeah. It's visceral. It's like the hook of the Helldivers team. Exactly. They're both taking cues from the work of, let me look up his name. Basil Poldieu, who's the composer for the Starship Troopers movies. He also did the Event Horizon. No fucking shit. He did the score for Event Horizon. That makes sense. His name is Basil Poldieu, but he's from Kansas City, Missouri. Let's see if I can pull anyone. Blue Lagoon, Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, Red Dawn, Iron Eagle, RoboCop, Hunt for Red October, White Fang, Hot Shots, Free Willy, RoboCop 3, obviously, Lassie, Starship Troopers, Les Miserables, Cecil B. Demented, The Touch. And then TV, he did Legend of Butch and Sundance, Twilight Zone 85-86, the 85 Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Wow, pretty good. Pretty good. Just got back. What is his name? The name of the best movies ever made? Yeah, this is the composer, this is the guy who composed all the songs for those. Basil Poldieu. Poldieu. Poledouris. Poldieu, I think is what. Like, it's clear that Jeff and I forgot the guy's name who did the Helldivers soundtrack. He's another kind of independent artist. I used to follow him on Twitter. Roger Wilbert. Or Wilbert Roget, who does some really good stuff. So Wilbert Roget did Star Wars The Old Republic, Guild Wars 2, Call of Duty World War II, Destiny 2 Forsaken, Mortal Kombat 1, Helldivers 2, but also did the Star Wars Outlaw soundtrack. And he did the soundtrack for the Gundam Requiem for Vengeance movie. He did a lot of the Star Wars stuff too, which again, you can also tell from his from the like Helldivers 2 soundtrack. It's very up there. Yeah, but it's clear. Yeah, like Conan Barbarian is so iconic with his music score. So yeah, it makes sense that these two composers would take from that. Did I see something about like Cowboy Bebop? Oh, fuck off. Oh no, okay. Never mind. I thought it said Star Wars Republic Commando. I'm like, you fucking asshole. Oh, so yeah, he was inspired by Hitoshi Sakamoto for the Final Fantasy and Yoko Kanno for Cowboy Bebop. That's what got him into music. Composing was anime music. Which is interesting. Again, that also checks out if you listen to his scores. I'm going to play some of these back to back just because this is fun. And you know, if you've known me long enough doing this, I do this all the time. Divers 2 theme. Okay. So, this is the Helldivers 2 main theme. God, I'm so patriotic right now. It's literally called Cup of Liberty. That's the name of it, yeah. I'm gonna put it to super capitalism. democracy. So clearly you can tell the influence of Starship Troopers in that. It's like it's seeping in that. But now that I know that he's actually inspired by anime music, this also has Final Fantasy written all over it. If you listen to the Final Fantasy sounds, like the bombastic ones, parts of Final Fantasy song soundtracks, it's just, you can hit it. It's like if you took the like emotional battle music from some of the scenes from Final Fantasy and then took Starship Troopers and went poof, you've got yourself that. So if I make a channel and offer to make him a mod, do you think he'll do a track for me? No. I mean, there's no doubt that shit's great, but allow me to one nitpick. Where's my alien instruments? No aliens in the UEE. There are aliens in the UEE, but they wouldn't be in the UEE anthem because the UEE Navy theme, like I said, was before First Contact. So, and there are actually some sort of non-Earth-based human creation, but non-Earth-based music. But that would all probably be more Pedro. All right. And now let's do... see if I can pull one that was recent, because all the ones I see up here are like old. Okay. Oh, this is all warbly because I tried to edit out the background. I'll pull up the main theme again from the Squadron 42 newsletter. So, dun 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 dun. Now take that bombacity and then compare this to the Squadron 42 theme. This is from the live iPhone recording, so it's a little warped. Portion of this is iPhone recording, yes. Like, I'll play a snippet of the Conan theme because I don't want to like get super demonetized, but okay.
between the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can't. There you go. And you could hear the inspiration in there. It's the steady thump that you're hearing in the background is great. And of course, I'll play this shortly so you can hear it. Like, you can tell it's done by the same composer as Conan. You can hear that in the sounds. It's just a different vibe. Yeah. RoboCop did same composer. Basil worked with obviously worked with Paul Verhoeven a lot. Well, Gladiator is 100% Hans Zimmer, and it's clear that he's a pirate, which is the theme for Pirates of the Caribbean, is heavily influenced by the main theme of Gladiator, which is Jeff Zanelli's piece for Pirates of the Caribbean, and Jeff Zanelli is the guy who's doing the Squad 42 soundtrack. So that's where you're getting this. Jeff definitely is pulling the vibes of like Basil Poudre and Hans Zimmer and his own little secret sauce here and there. So yeah. Final Fantasy soundtracks are always composed using full orchestra choirs, some of the best in the world too, and in famous studios. Definitely not anime music. What I meant is that his inspiration behind anime music, I could hear a little bit of that sort of classic background music. In some animes, you can really hear like really solid soundtracks for some stuff. And then my brain immediately jumped to like Final Fantasy, and I realized, holy fuck, this is Final Fantasy. Because the Final Fantasy that he was inspired by was like the Final Fantasy of the 90s. So we're talking like just after the MIDI era, when we start to see orchestral soundtracks coming into video games. The guy who did Helldivers 2. So like Final Fantasy 6, 7, and 8 kind of era is what he's claimed his like sort of super inspiration was. We're having fun tonight, yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to kind of, since this is all about music, and you know me whenever I get into the music, I think all I can say is let Jeff cook, okay? Let Jeff and Pedro cook. All right. Let me pull up the month report and get to it. I think CIG just needs to release the Snyder Cut. They need to release some of those tracks for Squad 42. The UEE naval theme, or UEE naval hymn, and the Squadron 42 main theme. If they release those as standalone tracks for you to like listen to online, it would be millions of listens, you know. And Miss talked about the Perseus just in time, Blood Eagle. I made the Squadron soundtrack my ringtone today. Nice. I haven't downloaded a ringtone since 2004. All right. Whew. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another Office Hours. Hold on, I'm delaying it. I'm delaying it because as long as CIG is delayed this monthly report. Don't worry, it's coming soon. TM. Almost there. Almost there. Capsule. Office Hours Capsule. This is a small section of my Office Hours live stream that I do on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPub Live, where we cover Star Citizen lore, news, and more. We'd love to have you come by and talk all of that stuff with us when you get a chance to. I said this in another video, which is going to be released before this one, hopefully. But as just a quick reminder, if you have been looking for my Captain's Table podcast videos, which usually live on this channel, they've been moved to a new channel to kind of help out the algorithm sort things out a little bit. So make sure you check those out at the Captain's Table podcast. The link will be down in the description. Go there. Make sure you subscribe there and take a look at stuff. I'm going to be uploading older videos of that as well. I'm going to be uploading things like Captain's Table from all the way back. I've already uploaded all of the early ones from like 2016 and 2017. And I'll be uploading things from 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 over time. Probably once a week or so to not screw up the algorithm once everything's kind of going. So if you want to see some old stuff, me, younger, more, less gray-haired me, go check that out. All right. With that all being said, today is the PU monthly report from November, December 2024, finally released. Let's take a look. And as a quick aside, this is a complete read-through. I do not do summaries. I don't think summaries are bad, but I believe that if you yourself want to stay informed, reading the entire information, all the information that comes out is important. And I know you don't have time for that. So I'm kind of your audiobook format of this, but I will interject every so often to add some context, because sometimes they'll reference things that they've been talking about for months, and I'll kind of add some more context of what has been worked on behind the scenes according to these monthly reports in the past. So with that all being said, let's jump right in. All right, PU monthly report, November, December 2024. This is the first monthly report of 2025. To kick off the reporting year, we're looking back at the end of 2024, detailing everything done for the Persistent Universe in November and December. Read on for all the details behind Alpha 4.0's development and beyond. AI content. The AI team ended 2024 progressing with tasks on Alpha 4.0. This involved adding and validating social AI behaviors across the new stations and outposts to ensure NPCs are positioned and pathfind correctly through each space. This involved playing through the various stations and discussing where it was or wasn't appropriate to place characters, or what type of story is intended to be shown there. Many players noticed dynamic conversations have started to appear in-game, which began with tech from Squadron 42. To improve the experience, small capture session was undertaken to enable new conversations specific to Pyro and Stanton. If you have heard Jared's voice pop up in your game recently in 4.0, it's because Jared Huckabee is one of the people who's been doing his voice work, and I think a couple of the lore writers have doing it as well, so it's pretty cool. Quote, this is definitely something we want to leverage more in the future, potentially even allow us to reference in-game events, AI team. I am a big fan of that. The team also looked back at Stanton's landing zone to upgrade their behaviors to the standards set in Pyro. For example, they tested population numbers to see how many NPCs could fit in a location without compromising performance. Though the numbers still aren't where they would like, particularly in the bustling metropolis of Area 18, it proved valuable insight as they begin to experiment with creating environments with denser populations. Again, yes please. AI features. In November and December, AI feature team progressed with combat for Pyro, particularly for Alpha 4.0's contested zones. This led to improved server frame rate and stability. For example, ammo management spoofing is now functional in locations where ammo crates are yet to be balanced. As such, NPCs will reload, run out of ammo, and search for more from downed combatants to provide much needed ebb and flow to the combat without needing to wait for full reloading rebalance. Time was also put into polishing and reloading and ammo management animations and behaviors to ensure they're ready for Alpha 4.0. That seems a lot like it's going to have crossover with player reloading. I don't know what this is, this full looting rebalance. Oh, I said it's a reloading. It's full looting rebalance. I misread that. Interesting. That seems like it's something we'll hear more of. Because I will say the one thing that Star Citizen definitely is lacking in when it comes to gameplay is it's a looting game that has really poor loot and poor looting mechanics in general. So it'd be interesting if this is also connected to some sort of rebalancing of how loot pools and tables are going to work. AI features also completed medic behavior that allows medpen equipped NPCs to revive their squad mates, providing an extra challenge to players. This also creates gameplay opportunities by allowing players to bait enemies into the open to heal their comrades. The team also fixed issues when cover is compromised to ensure NPCs respond quickly when ambushed. Bugs in, quote, defend areas, unquote, were fixed too, which were used to shape the flow of combat and set up areas where enemies wait in cover to ambush players. Work was then done to simplify and refactor the investigating behavior, giving it additional fallback options and enabling it to work more sympathetically with the perception system. This functionality is used to drive searching behaviors across groups when the AI was not fully perceived something or has lost its target. Significant work was also done to ensure the perception, particularly vision, checks using client calculations are efficient and correctly distribute checks to characters present at different LODs. So they did show this off a couple times. They showed this off in the 2023 CitizenCon, but they've discussed this a lot. There is a behavior that AI will go through if they think they see somebody, and they will investigate an area. And so there's a full suite of perception tools they use, from eyes to ears, and to like touch, to like feel, like they can feel some changes, I guess. And of course, the perception is more acute or more pronounced in Copians, which is why I think they showed that off at one point recently, where they showed off like the cone visions and the kind of those sort of perception ranges. So that's what they're talking about here, is they want to be able to make it so that there are some missions which are more stealth-based, and you have to deal with like very attentive AI. Significant work was also done to ensure that perception. Okay, we'll talk about. In addition, AI features worked alongside animation to introduce a new creature to the Star Citizen universe, the Kazi Grazer. We've been working on this for some time now, and we're so happy to see the positive reaction from players to our bovine friend, AI features team. It's the first real AI creature. It's the first creature that they mentioned was going to be put into the game and showed off concept work for way back in the day, that they actually put in there. We're still missing the Xiphopod, the blind Oni crab. We're also missing the Stormwall and the Stalker, the Boreal Stalker. Now that they're going to be adding the Valakar, the sandworm, the Lear 3 sandworm to the game as well. So we're slowly getting all those parts in. Work also progressed on animation stances, which are used by the Kazi Grazer when sleeping and grazing. These are particularly relevant to the day-night cycle. A new charge attack type was also introduced. AI Tech. AI Tech spent the last 2 months making performance improvements to AI systems and progressing with new features. They began by enabling dynamic cover generation for planets and some locations, chosen by the designers. This is part of the tech presented at CitizenCon. They also implemented a new exporter for dynamic cover generated as part of the location's object container, where dynamic cover fixes were made when reusing cover locations after navigation tile regenerates without NPCs. Starscript design tool received numerous updates. This tool inherits the logic from the Apollo subsumption and will be used by the designers to define and represent mission behaviors, NPC behaviors, and other design scenario scripts. So I guess the Apollo subsumption tool is being retired and it's being replaced with StarScript. At least it's not because the Apollo is the Apollo kind of thing. I'm glad it's just StarScript. Until the CIG names some ship's script. It also has a modern UI and better functionality for debugging behaviors. Multiple improvements were made to the, quote, tactical point system, unquote, to provide faster results when searching for usables, cover, or points on the navigation mesh with less impact on the frame time budget. Now, this may be in reference to the point system that they've been having for a while. So they developed a system that uses points, tokens, and these tokens, each encounter you have. So every time you say you spawn a specific mission, like go kill enemies at this outpost, the game will spawn those enemies at that outpost with a certain number of tokens. And those tokens will determine things like how many of the spawned players or spawned NPCs are going to be a different specific style of NPC. So like pushers, snipers, heavies, all the different styles we've started to see in 4.0. And it'll also give them specific traits. So some of them will be more aggressive and will actually just like hammer down the trigger and constantly shoot at you. Some of them will like be more sneaky or only take shots when they hit, sort of thing. And these can be generated randomly, and sometimes the token system can pop out and create bigger numbers of enemies or more smaller numbers, but with more elite status, sort of thing. This is something they've been playing with for Squadron for a while, so that every time you play Squadron, you'll have a slightly different experience because the game will generate different encounters depending on where you are. It's not the same static encounters, and they'll have different, like, unless it's like a scripted specific area, they'll have different sort of goals. Navigation system received numerous improvements for the Alpha 4.0 release. For example, the team updated how they compute navigation islands by utilizing more threads and splitting the navigation volume tiles into island groups. For planetary navigation, the devs optimized the way they send in events that trigger navigation regeneration requests, alongside the ability to link navigation area exclusion and navigation cost areas to planetary navigation mesh. So, improving the ability of NPCs moving across the planet, across like locations. For Boyd's tech, crashes were solved when the volume of synchronized data used between the server and client was optimized. For scripting reasons, the new functionality to easily convert conversion behavior into flow graph node was implemented. Updates were made to audio propagation and how NPCs perceived audio events too. Ship AI behaviors received a lot of attention, including improvements to quantum travel to better handle failures and updates to reinforcement behaviors and collision avoidance logic. Finally, the team began implementing movement requests for chasing targets. This will include updates to how Pathfinder requests are solved and patched existing paths. AI, Game Intelligence Development Team. Throughout November and December, the Game Intelligence Development Team continued to close out StarScript 1.1. Updating the old Apollo documentation to the new UX and adding documentation to the new features. They also defined a QA testing process to detect and address crashes and bugs as early as possible. A, quote, cheat sheet, unquote, was then produced to highlight the differences between Subsumption/Apollo and StarScript. Including using filters and smart query to obtain results, how to use custom groups, and working with notes. Following this, the game designers began using StarScript 1.1 and made requests for features and visual additions. The navigation graph was implemented for StarScript 1.5 alongside a selection of icons to represent key elements such as the event system, external system, and sub-activity selector. So this is an example of it. Animation. November saw the animation team create player interaction animations for hacking and door panels. What? Hacking? We're getting hacking? Huh. Okay, and I'm guessing the door panels is the boop that we saw at CitizenCon, where like you actually punch the door panels and they open. They also worked on various creature animations for the Copian, Kazigrazer, Valakar, and prepping for upcoming creatures. Hacking confirmed for 2 years from now. Yeah. I'm not surprised that hacking exists in Star Citizen. It's been supposed to be there for a while, but this is the first time we've heard them talk about hacking in years, in any official sense. Now, it may be a different animation that's for hacking that doesn't mean the hacking gameplay that we're going to be getting, but who knows? The devs then undertook several performance capture shoots before solving the data and facial animations. Notice that for the animations, they did the Copian, the Kazigrazer, and the Valakar. So they were also working on the animations for the Valakar, and they've been prepping for upcoming creatures. So we have more creatures that will be coming down the pipe. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw several of these creatures coming in this year, including possible multiple monster types for the monster hunting features that CIG talked about at CitizenCon. The end of the year was spent developing various animations for existing and upcoming creatures, while facial animation continued to create animations from the captured performances. Not 4 years. Like, we haven't heard about it in years. Like, I don't think, maybe 2 years. When was the last time they showed off or talked about the Legionnaire? Was that 2023? The character art team supports Starware, art debt, and fixed bugs for live releases. They're currently working on 2 new armors alongside upcoming armor variants. Neat. Art ships. The ship art team spent the end of 2024 putting the finishing touches on the upcoming vehicles that were revealed or released this year. Alongside unannounced vehicles, several upcoming vehicles progressed through the white and gray box stages, including the Consolidated Outland Pioneer, the Drake Ironclad, the Anvil Paladin, the MISC Starlancer TAC, Argo SCV FM, and RSI Apollo and Perseus. So, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. The Perseus and the Ironclad are both in production. We don't know how long along they are, but if they're going through white box, then it'll be done before the end of the year. All of these ships will be released before the end of the year, including possibly the Pioneer. That may be the only one that I wouldn't bet my money on it, but the Ironclad isn't that big, and neither is the Perseus. The Ironclad uses a lot of assets from the asset library of Drake, and the Perseus is obviously using a lot of the asset library from RSI. Same with the Apollo. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw those easily added. The Starlancer is already in the game, so the TAC wouldn't be that difficult to add. The Anvil Paladin is, again, it's an Anvil ship. It's not too difficult. It's pretty small. And we already have the SCV or CSV, whatever it is, the truck. The fabrication one isn't too difficult. So yeah, 100%, we're going to see all of those before the end of the year. Community. The community team began the busy months of November and December with recap of CitizenCon 2954 and by making all presentations from the event available on YouTube. They also supported IAE 2954 with an FAQ and manufacturer schedule for this year's events, as well as the Intergalactic Photography Awards screenshot contest featuring unique categories. Image by Jade Starwasher. Nice. The team published Spectrum Guide to support the Save Stanton Global event, as well as providing QAs for the Crusader Intrepid, RSI Polaris, Anvil Terrapin Medic, Anvil Paladin, and MISC Starlancer TAC. November also saw the introduction of the Star Citizen Comms Drive, a new series designed to dive into hot topics and ongoing discussions within the community. More on these to come. Comms Dive? Interesting to know that. During December, community helped spread the joy of Luminali 2954 with a calendar of daily gifts, a referral bonus, and a gift that keeps on giving video contest. They supported the release of Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 preview with a Beauty of Pyro screenshot contest, highlighting the planets and moons of the new system, and by publishing 3 Patch Watch posts, which offered deeper insights into the updated economy, new mining opportunities in Pyro, and more. Regular updates were also published for the community, including Roadmap Roundup, This Week in Star Citizen, and the Arena Commander schedule. And lastly, the team spent time focusing on event planning and upcoming activities being planned for the year. Pyro 4. Core gameplay. So this is going to have some good stuff. All core gameplay teams were heavily involved in addressing stability and performance issues found during Alpha 4.0 PTU. Alongside this, the programmers worked on jump points, which were critical to connecting Stanton with Pyro and later other star systems. A lot of effort went into creating strong visual experience and the feeling of controlling the spaceship inside the tunnel, which I think is one of the highlights of 4.0. The new mission system received the final critical changes to prepare it for the new server mesh environment. This overhaul is important to ensure missions persist as players cross server boundaries, on server crash recovery, and between different servers. As the system was completely overhauled and most of the script logic rules changed, all mission archetypes needed to be rewritten. A lot of teams supported the transition and setup of this content by helping locate and identify problems. As the number of territories or regions served by one dedicated server increased, more features were found to have issues with authority transfer, unique problems caused by ownership of the entity moving from one server to another. These issues proved challenging to address, but the benefits of more territories made it worth the time investment. The teams also heavily involved in new content. The teams were also heavily involved in new content, including contested zones, and took the opportunity to begin making changes to the PU login flow, including allowing players to spawn directly to their persistent hangars at their home locations. Work was done in support of an upcoming ship, fixing quality of life issues with personal hangar and freight elevators, and a lot of bug fixing. So, interesting that most of this is sort of server meshing details, and the fact that one of the reasons why we don't see all of the missions in game is because they had to be completely rewritten. Again, for those of you who don't know, 2.0 had specific missions, which some of those have carried on to 3.0 and to 4.0. But I think a lot of them have also disappeared with 4.0 because, yeah. But they had to completely rewrite the missions in 2.0 for 3.0. And they said, we're done now. We finished doing the rewrite. And they didn't. They had to completely rewrite all the missions again for 4.0. Oh, that's a nightmare. I think it was probably more to do with the missions that they hadn't developed with the concept of what server meshing was going to look like in the first place. So, but the mission refactor is in partially. It's, I think, apparently done, but it may not be fully implemented. All right, economy. Another hot button issue. The end of 2024 saw the economy team adjust the prices of quantum and hydrogen fuel to account for new tank sizes. Prices of vehicle components and ordnance were rebalanced with the aim of turning the use of a size 10 bomb into a serious financial decision. Vehicle repair costs were also rebalanced, taking into account the new prices for components and commodities. For example, repairing a ship's hull should now be a lot cheaper than replacing missing components. Graphics, VFX programming, and Planet Tech. For the graphics department, the end of 2024 largely involved making significant performance and stability improvements to Alpha 4.0. The team also finalized internal support for Vulkan and rolled it out as the default renderer for developers. Vulkan soon! This includes many stability improvements alongside multi-threading improvements to increase CPU performance on multi-core machines. These improvements are in the main branch, so they will reach the PU in the next major pull of the main code branch takes place, which is likely 4.1. So, March. Vulkan in March. Holy, that's... okay. R&D for Global Lumin, or at least May, Invictus. Post-Invictus. R&D for Global Illumination, Reflections, and Planet Tech V5 all progressed and will continue at full pace now that the team's work on Alpha 4.0 is complete. So it sounds like Genesis is now actually being worked on with 4.0 being done. Before that, it was all sort of testing phases, and now they're actually working on it. Interactables developed assets for contested zones such as keycards, server blades, and fuse slots, and completed a performance and bug pass. Locations. The locations team spent the end of 2024 supporting Alpha 4.0 build, including polishing, optimizing, and bug fixing Pyro's contested zones and outposts. Mission design. The ongoing mission refactor continued with bugs being prioritized and triaged. While analytics show high completion rates for missions, Elliot. 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 Why you gotta lie to the people? Why you gotta bold-faced lie to the people? Especially since this is written from November and December. Anyways, while analytics show high completion rates for missions, some users are still coming across issues. The team was currently attempting to reproduce and fix exactly what's causing them. Alongside this, Mission Design kicked off a new content plan for 2025, more of which will be shared in the upcoming months. I don't like poo-pooing on the Mission Design team, because the Mission Design team is actually some of my favorite people at CIG, because they are unhinged. and the right type of unhinged. The type of unhinged which is like, they've done one too many times of D&D as the DM, and they're just done with the player's shit. So. All right. Narrative. Over the past 2 months, the narrative team focused on finishing mission context text for Alpha 4.0. The addition of Pyro meant that there are dozens of mission archetypes with different complexities and steps that need to be applied to all mission providers in the system. Narrative also worked closely with the mission designers to support the Save Stanton missions. Outside of that, evergreen work continued, including generating names and descriptions for items, liveries, weapons, and armor. The team also planned storytelling and planned storytelling and character initiatives to beginning in the new year. On the website, the team released a fascinating portfolio on the history of Luminalia, which gave insight into the Banu culture and answered the community's questions from the Ask a Dev forum and Loremakers. Online technology. In November-December, online services finalized the backend services crucial to several key features, including the mission system refactor, the entity subscription service marker refactor, the scenario service, the various social services updates, Each of these enhancements has played a vital role in the overarching goal of making server meshing a reality. The team also devoted considerable amount of time and resources to assist in unblocking accounts experiencing various issues. Furthermore, the team successfully released hotfixes to address these issues over the holidays. They really were working through the holidays to get that fixed. The Live Tools team continued rolling out new features for Hex that had been in development for several months. Do not get excited. Hex has nothing to do with a ship customization. It's just what they call their online service tools. I believe it's the sort of like dev end focus of possibly like Star Sim, something like that. It might be just the dev end focus of the server meshing. Latest includes a tool to manage access to permission in a more granular way, and a new module to help in-game events and missions. Existing modules continued to be improved to provide a better user experience. The team also worked on significant improvements for the error reporting pipeline and other internal development tools. R&D. In November and December, the R&D team continued to finalize the core system components for the first version of dynamic weather. Previously implemented weather map support was extended to also include rain accumulation map with physically plausible evaporation and percolation model. This uses a planet's temperature, humidity, and wind map, which I know like Radar Rangers in chat, so like calm yourself. Which also drive terrain and biome generation as input. Support for rain clustering was also added to limit the rain to specific regions and types of clouds. Y'all, are we getting rain this year? This sounds like we're getting rain this year, but then again, this is R&D, so R&D typically is well out, but I don't know. It has come out that the system that they showed, where they showed the actual the Aurora taking off and they getting lightning struck and that kind of stuff, that was entirely random. They did that all in engine with the systems they created. So it was like they had to do it multiple times until the lightning struck perfectly. That was like scripted or anything like that. They had to do it a couple times. Similar controls were added for lighting, and the quality of lighting event locations extracted from the weather map was improved. The temporal stability of weather was improved, while diffusion in rain accumulation map, due to resampling historic data, was reduced. Volumetric cloud shadow rendering was stabilized to further improve occasional stepping artifacts when the camera moved, especially with the sun at low angles above the horizon. Additionally, various back-end changes were implemented. This included introducing a dependency chain so that running runtime-generated cloud and weather maps and their dependencies can update lazily. Also, weather animation states now propagate to all systems and threads working with them, so related gameplay and physics effects should be consistent with rendering. All right. Tech art animation. The technical art animation team continued with a range of long-term tasks to facilitate improvements across the board. For example, despite technical challenges, they made substantial progress towards finalizing several creatures, ensuring they're ready for deployment across several planets. One of the team's major milestones was successful integration of the new heads into the character customizer. This enhancement will offer players more variety in customization options, further enriching personalization. A contingent of the tech animation team is currently invested in the development and upkeep of player interactions. Quote, most recently, this included the fuse puzzles, which were trickier to implement than you might expect, unquote, technical animation team. I don't doubt they're tricky because they're broken half the time. Oh. Tech design. Throughout November and December, tech design primarily focused on contested zones, supporting range from setting up new entities, implementing gameplay and reward logic, fixing doors, hooking up lights and sound effects, and playtesting and iterating on the above. They also set up entities for CitizenCon Digital Goodies Pack and identified and resolved the small and large workflow issues for themselves and other teams. VFX. In November, the VFX team supported the vehicle team with the Mirai Guardian and locations teams with a variety of Pyro location work. December saw further work on Pyro, including contested zones, rundown stations, asteroid bases, and the VFX-heavy jump points. Woo! All right, that's a lot more than I thought it was. I think the big overview, the big summary, I would say, is rain, weather accumulation. Like, that's huge. Wasn't expecting that. It's an R&D, so it sounds like this year, but because it says specifically research and development, I'm going to pause my hype on that one. Server meshing stuff, a lot of server meshing improvements. Narrative is talking about new content for like items, liveries, weapons, armor, and then planned storytelling and character initiatives. So interesting. Mission system reworking, locations, sort of stuff like that. Sort of Vulcan this year, full implementation of Vulcan, or at least the first full implementation of Vulcan. I think you could still downgrade, would be my guess, but they're still going to have like the full, like the default renderer. New switches to the economy, a lot of bug fixing, and the ships: Pioneer, Drake, Ironclad, Apollo, Perseus, Paladin, Starlancer Attack, Argo, SCV, CSV, FM. All of them are in white box or gray box, which bodes well for all of them except for maybe the Pioneer. Though they did say that the Pioneer wouldn't make it to the first implementation of base building, which does indicate that possibly we will get base building earlier than this year, like earlier than the end of this year. Because if the Pioneer does come out this year, it'll come out at the end of the year, would be my guess. And if it comes out at the end of the year, then the base building would have to come out before then. So it's more likely that it'll get pushed, and the base building will get pushed down the road a little bit, but 12 to 18 months is what they said, so probably sometime between now and next year this time. So lots of work on AI, a bunch of work on AI, including new ways of AI being more alive and discussing the universe. So pretty big, pretty interesting. And I didn't show this off earlier, but this was the title, and almost certainly this picture, this title and this picture in the title, this is almost certainly Ruin Station. This is probably the overhaul for Ruin Station, because that looks like a space station set, similar to like the Rough and Ready sets. And we know that Ruin Station is supposed to be controlled by Xenothreat. So it makes sense that they'd be dressing up the Rough and Ready station that is Ruin Station to be Xenothreat themed. So, all right. So, with all that being said, I want to hear your thoughts down below on any of these. Do you think I'm crazy for saying rain and base building this year? Please elaborate in detail. If you did enjoy this, I do this every month that they release these. I also look through the Squadron 42 monthly reports. We look through any of the new things like the letter for the chairman, and I will be producing more short form-ish, 10 to 20 minute long videos on specific topics. I have one that's going to be released next week on the year, like what's looking like this year, like setting your expectations for this year. I've got another one after that to talk a little bit about Death of a Spaceman. And as I said at the very beginning, if you do enjoy the Captain's Table content that's been coming out, it's got a new home, which is at the Captain's Table Podcast, all one word. So youtube.com/the @ symbol, the Captain's Table Podcast, or click the link in the description. Just go straight there. And make sure you subscribe, because once that's up and running and more people are moving over, even the live streams for the Captain's Table will end up on that channel as well. So if you want to watch it live, you'll be going there as well. Thank you for watching. Remember to like the video, subscribe for more content, hit the bell icon to be notified when these release, and like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. And hacking. I forgot to mention hacking. Yeah. All right, chat. I'm going to run this by you. What would you more likely be willing to click in terms of if you saw a thumbnail? Base building this year? Question mark? Or the Perseus is coming? Hey, Pace. Welcome everyone from Pace's stream. The Perseus is coming. It's interesting to say. How's it going? So you're welcome. Welcome to the Yak Yak stream. This is the office hours where I talk about Star Citizen. We don't play the game. I do play the game, but this is more of going through the news, going through the updates, and all that kind of stuff. So, welcome everybody. You just missed us reading through the monthly report from November and December. I can give you a very brief summary, which is a lot of work on AI. They're discussing hacking. Hacking is coming into the game soon because they're talking about animations for hacking. Complete mission overhauls. Several ships are going to white box or gray box, including the Starlancer attack, the Perseus, the Ironclad, the Apollo, the Paladin, the Pioneer. So lots of stuff. Base building this summer. Absolutely base building. Perseus, I know I'll never own the known land in game or game or out of it. Hey Donkey, how you doing? Yep. That's what you were talking about. So yeah, in terms of actually what's coming out, I could almost guarantee you the TAC, the Paladin, and then if base building's coming in, then the CSVFM. Because the CSVFM is the two small fabrication drones or drones for base building. So like the mobile base creator. And then the Apollo is likely to be the one that sort of maybe slips off the map, but who knows? The Perseus and of course the Ironclad are the big ones, and I think they're definitely going to make it this year. The question is when. Could be among the unannounced ships. Could be. We're talking about the base building. What about the BLD version of the Star Lancer? That's a good question. They said specifically the BLD was going to be out with base building, but there's no mention of it in the development. It could be in the unknown ones, but it's already known. They've already announced it, so it's kind of weird. 2 medium. CSV-FM is 2 medium. I wouldn't be surprised if the CSV it comes out before the BLD. Like almost certainly, I expect the first version of base building to be 3 shacks and a hobo stick. Like a place you can like store your shit, a place you can sleep, maybe a medical bed, maybe a building with a fabrication module in it, and then something you can extract resources from the ground. It's like 5 buildings that are small, like maybe about the same size as maybe a little bit wider and bigger than a medium ship, but not by much. I challenge you on the hobo stick. Please confirm. Yeah. So bomb sight. Got it. It'll be invincible. You won't be able to blow it up. 3 shacks and a hobo stick. Not 3 sticks and a hobo shit. That's what I'm gonna start calling it now. Version 1 of base building is 3 shits and a hobo stick. Or 3 sticks and a hobo shit. There we go. No mention of engineering, resource, network, fire, ominous, or am I paranoid? You're being paranoid. Base building needs land claims and a lot deeper resources being mined to it. Ooh, trouble magnet. I think that no. I think what we're going to see is the first versions of base building will be plopped down anywhere you want, and they'll get wiped every patch. There'll be more long-term testing than persistent. I saw briefly that Nyx is basically retconned, but it's supposed to be in the next order. What year? 1 year from now? Too soon? What do you mean retconned? Nyx wasn't retconned at all. Nyx is the same as Nyx has always been. What you're going to see most likely is that the planets are going to be more interesting than dead rocks. That doesn't mean they're not going to be dead rocks. They probably are, because it still fits with the sort of what Nyx is and why Levski is the biggest settlement in Nyx. But you're likely going to see more interesting environments than just dead rocks. They could be hedging with the BLD and waiting to see if they hit it this year or not. Could be. Timeline for the entire system to be completed? What do you mean? The entire base building system? The entire star systems? Did they add a moon to Nyx? Possibly. There's only 2 planets in Nyx. 3, actually. 2 planets and a gas giant. Solar system? Like the entirety, all of their star systems? Or all of, like, Nyx's star system? Because, like, all of the star systems will take years. But those systems are a lot more highly polished than they originally were. Because the original idea was if you're going to land on planets, you would land with a cutscene. And on top of that, you would be landing... you would be landing in a small zone that was like invisible, walled off. So you wouldn't be able to leave it. To give you context, Starfield. The original idea behind Star Citizen's landing on planets was Starfield. So, as a result, they didn't want to make planets to be believable, like livable. So they wanted to have a reason why you couldn't go to that planet. And that's because there's nothing there. So that's why they had 100+ star systems, because it was mostly just space stations, stars, dead planets, and a couple of places you could land. And that was it. Stanton was unique because it had 4 different landing zones, but most places only had 1. So they only had to worry about bespoke landing zone locations, and then they kind of expand them if they wanted to. And then that completely changed when they had planetary landing. Once they figured out how planetary landing went, it was just like everything out the fucking window. We're going back to basics with this. If the Apollo doesn't make it, the ship team will need a real medical ship to save them from me. System meaning Pyro is a system. Stanton is a system. Nix is supposed to be the next in the Castro and Terra. Yes, 100%. We're gonna see Nix this year. Like, maybe in preview, maybe it makes the quarter 3 patches or quarter 4 patches, but we're gonna see Nix this year. CIG's not going to come out and say that because they're hopefully smarter than that now to know that, like, hey, probably a good idea to set expectations properly. Sorry, brand new keyboard. I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible and just see some stray hairs on it. Planetary landing is essentially the most immersive part for you. Yeah, it was supposed to be an aftermarket release or after release kind of thing, and they decided to make it a priority. Instead of the cryptid that I always hear and never speak of, I thought it was the lady Stage Troll who said it was like, wait, why is she in Twitch chat? Is she in Twitch chat? Instead, it's the cryptid that I always hear about and never speak of, Luda Maria. Curious as how far along the systems they made for Squadron are. I could potentially give them something to work through once Squadron is released, because they need a Vandal system at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if once they get the Genesis stuff up online, we'll see some things much faster. I don't know when that is. My guess is Genesis isn't being designed for 1.0 Star Citizen. It's being designed for post 1.0 Star Citizen. So a lot of the systems and planets are going to be built with the old standbys and then will be updated to Planetech V5 after Planetech V5 is done. Oh, I should probably turn on the
Take away my
alerts and
space
stuff like
suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
that. Buttons are back.
But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Kapam just resubscribed for 51 months. Have you heard the whispers of the prophet?
Thank you for that month 3 of your 12-month subscription.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Q-Pen. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive. Very any pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. That is, I love it. It is so disturbing. It is so disturbing. If you listen to the conversation, that's one of the wild lines. It's usually a woman talking and being like, I was talking to somebody and this guy was just staring at me creepily. And then he walked up to me and said, have you heard the whispers of the prophet? And then she makes some joke about it. But I'm like, can you imagine that? Can you imagine some like weird dude staring at you and then walking up to you and going, have you heard the whispers of the prophet? Like, fuck, man, that's sinister as shit. Absolutely sinister. I love it. And of course, these are the good guys. These are probably the most morally upright standing individuals in the entirety of the Pyro system. And they strip naked and expose themselves to get blasted by solar radiation as part of their initiation rituals. She doesn't make a joke, she makes a threat. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So they like the party. Yeah. Listen, we'll all hear the whispers of the prophets. The prophet. The best part about all of this is that the fire rats, which is what this is referencing to, they're invented by the community. No joke. They're a community created gang done during a live stream where they had the community come up with a gang. And they kept trying to move them towards something fun and cyberpunk. And the community was like, no, Lovecraftian horror. I want to feel terrified about this gang. No, but I heard my shotgun roar. Left me alone after that. Yeah. Caleb in Pace's chat today. Alien playable races, if, when, or never. Yes. After release. CIG has consistently said that their plan is to have playable alien races. There's only one alien race which you will not be able to play, and that is going to be the Vanduul. My guess, and this is guess based off of the lore, and the lore is heavily influenced by the gameplay decisions. So like the lore doesn't create the gameplay is made, and then they use the lore to justify the game. And the one thing they've talked about this consistently, but the one thing that in the lore that constantly comes up is that the Tavaran are a client species of humanity. They're a bird race. And because they're a client species of humanity, because they tried to kill us twice and failed, skill issue, they've sort of become assimilated into human culture. They're everywhere. There's a Tavaran town, a Tavaran district in every city in the UBE. They're sort of a minority species. So because they're already implemented in game, pretty much anything that is built for humans should also be built for Tavaran to use, because they're also heavily represented in the military. So any military equipment needs to be, swappable. So it needs to be super cheap. So it needs to be super simple and that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a free update to become a Tavaran, to add a Tavaran character into our as a playable race, and then they'll do a paid update, because they've mentioned this before, that if they're going to do one paid DLC for Star Citizen, for sure it will be playable alien races, but it will be paid because it'll be like a brand new game, because you will be starting off as a Banu or a Xi'an, and you will start off in their territory with their own unique stories and their own background, and then be introduced into the game. Maybe we'll see them in Squadron. So this is where, because there's a lot of new people here from Pace's stream. Hello, my name is Paul Shelley. I am an idiot, and I have entirely spoiled myself on the Squadron 42 story multiple times. I don't know all of the details, but I know the broad strokes. And part of that reason is because I have accidentally, and then on purpose, listened to basically all of the raw audio files of Squadron 42's recordings, because they were leaked in a build a long time ago, and I went to go look for something else. Specifically, I went to go looking for this line specifically. Where are you? This one.
2 words. Distress bait.
That line, which is from a 2.0 mission, which was no longer available. So I went to go look for it. And they don't label their files Squadron 42 Epic Speech 1 or anything like that. They're all just numbers. So me and the friend who actually had the leaked build went through each of the files in the file size and then worked our way through. And we realized by accident, some of these files were Squadron 42 files. So by the time we actually found the goddamn audio file, we'd heard pretty much the entirety of the Squadron 42 story. And so this isn't a spoiler, but this is setting expectations. There is an audio file where it's a snippet of a conversation that the player is having with somebody in the mess hall of the Stanton, which is the Idris you serve on after the prologue. And which isn't a spoiler either. They've been talking about that for years. And it's mentioned it's discussing the Tavaran. And the person you're talking to says, it's strange. I've served on multiple Navy ships in my career, and every one of them has had at least one Tavaran. It's weird that there's none on the Stanton. So they highlight the fact that the Tavaran are a species that exist, that they are very, very, spread out. They're all over the place. But it's odd that you do not see the Tavaran on the Stanton. So like they call that out, which means that they know that that's weird that they don't have the Tavaran in the game. Maybe later. We do know for sure, based off of the trailers that they showed, we're going to have Xi'an in the game. And Vanduul. So the only ones we're not going to have that are somewhat playable or possible playable would be the Banu and the Tavaran. It's a CR game. We're going to get new Hobbs. And if we're going to get a Hob, it's not going to be a Vanduul, it's going to be a Tavaran. Still would like a Banu crewmate. Yes. Absolutely. Just don't get junk with a Banu crewmate. I'm not going to lie. When they add alien characters, I'm going to be making a Tavaran and a Banu. And that Banu is going to just do everything in anything in their possible power to steal your organs. They'd be very friendly. Absolutely down for the cause no matter where you go. They're like, yeah, look, I'm going for an adventure, great. Just don't fall asleep around them. If you get downed in combat, they will steal your kidney and then fix you up. As an aphrodisiac? No, because you can sell on the market. You got 2 kidneys, you're fine. You should have read the contract. When you hired me on as an assistant, you should have read the contract. In the contract, it said, I will take ownership of all of your organs if you die. Steal? More like borrow. So who is Maniac? That's a good question. Sandy Gardner, Chris's wife, is also in it. She's also an actress. She was in Doom Patrol and a couple other things as well. And she plays a character that seems very similar to the Maniac character. She's got a mohawk. She's got a bad attitude, that kind of thing. I don't know if she's in Squadron 42, like the actual squadron of Squadron 42, the 42nd Squadron. But she was at one point one of the characters you meet, so. They don't need to repeat every trope. They don't, and I don't think they will. Because I don't think this is Wing Commander 1 for 1. I mean, look at Wing Commander, like, say, 1 or 2 and compare it to Wing Commander 4. They're very different. They have similar characters and stuff like that, but the stories and the pacing is very different. Well, that's what I mean, Vastin. It's like her character seems to be very much like the punk. Like, not necessarily like the, yeah, I'm really good at this, I'm amazing. More like, I'm going to talk about how I'm amazing all the time. I mean, there was no Maniac in Freelancer, right? So you should be especially excited about Human Horn. Yeah. And there was no like that sort of trope didn't exist in Starlancer or in Privateer. So. Again, Edison Trent was Junie's Maniac. We were the protag, we're the subordinate of the real hero of the Gemini sector. I didn't see what you said, Doobie. No, I know Human Horn. Human Horn is a nose, but it's an aphrodisiac that the that lure from the planet Omicron Persei 8 was trying to shred so that he could get it on with his lady. I know Futurama. I love Futurama. I've watched literally every episode of Futurama. Question we have seen in leaks for faction skins. They also include several for Xenothreat. Might we be able to join them? I would be surprised if we were able to, because they seem to be indicating that Xenothreat is much more of a one-trick pony, the consistent badass. So the skins may not necessarily be skins for players, but for NPCs. So you may be able to acquire a Xenothreat skin the same way you can acquire Xenothreat armor by doing missions against them, or when you did the Xenothreat mission, the Xenothreat event for the sentence system. Do you think the Banu deal in animals? Much for that raid there, Kadesh. You're a very important pupper, very impressed, Mr. Welcome, everyone. My name is Paul Berserker One Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. We're doing the office hours. This is a yak stream where I talk about the Star Citizen lore, news, and more. We just went over the Squadron 42 newsletter and the monthly report from November and December, which I've recorded, which will be up on YouTube later as well if you missed it. So. How you doing, Kadesh? Have a good night. Adios. Buenas noches. Recommendations for flight sticks on flight sticks. For the longest time, I used the T16000Ms because you can reverse the grips on them. They're super cheap. They're two of them will cost you $100. But I managed to win a pair of gunfighters for VKB and some mounts for them, and holy shit, they're amazing. Okay, so we could source aphrodisiacs, but I wonder where the source toys, oil, bulk buys of from Kasaba. Possibly. I mean, we already know aphrodisiac. Gasping weevil eggs. Gasping weevil eggs are an aphrodisiac. Thanks, Velocity. But the one advantage that the T60000Ms have is that there's a lot of buttons, it's fairly cheap, and if it breaks, it's not that difficult to replace. Like when you can get twin sticks for less than $100, it's amazing. Any issue you have with the T60000M, someone else had, and there's usually a quick homemade fix. That too. But like the actual, like the T60000Ms, if you get them fine, they'll last you a year, if not 2. Depends on how hard you are on them. But I've had them. The thing that breaks mostly is like sort of the actual like joystick rotation. That kind of stuff can get a little funky, and like some of the buttons may kind of have issues to click. If you don't do homemade fixes for them, they're $50 to replace. So it's $50 every 2 years. And usually it's just one will go, and then the other will go a year or 2 later. I've gone through 2 since I've owned them, and I started flying with them in 2016. So or 2017. Sage updated the sales page with the Idris P to currently being built and tested for implementation in game. Can we be optimistic about the release of before Squadron 42? Where does that update? I mean, I've been saying that CIG is likely to release the Idris before Squadron 42 only because it'll be available to put in game, and we've already been exploring them because they've built them for like missions. So there's no real like hiding anything in there now. So it's more than likely they're going to use it as a marketing stunt. So Siege is not me. Do not take this as what it is. Siege can take the advice if they want to. If it were me, I would hold the Idris P off until until you have a firm date announcement for Squadron 42. So when you know exactly the date it releases, so like March 24th, 2026. When you make that announcement, say you make that announcement at, say, Gamescom, you, as part of that announcement release the Idris P to people who purchased it. We've already been in the Idris, the captured Idris. Yeah, so there's nothing to hide. Like that was their original excuse, was like they wanted to keep it special for you to explore in game. And it's like, well, it took you so fucking long to get Squadron done that we've already done so. The difference between the Polaris and the Idris is that the Polaris was released without engineering. And someone asked earlier, is like, oh, we haven't seen any references to engineering in the monthly report. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. There was plenty of references before it, and CIG said that they needed to test it more. So we have to wait for an update from CIG about that, like when we get to like what 4.1 is going to look like in March, but we'll see. We've already know how to fight the Idris, though. We fought the blasted thing in almost every major event at some point hundreds of times. No, you haven't. You fought a version of the Idris which won't exist when engineering is released. And each time you fought the Idris, it's changed its characteristics. Yeah, with no armor, where, you know, you would be damaging its health pool. Wait until you actually have to attack its components and actually deal damage to its components. We kind of already do that with like the engines, but like, yeah. That would definitely work, I think. It's just an easy kind of add-on so that you can be like, hey, here's this announcement for Squadron 42. To get you hyped, here's the fucking Idris. Here's the ship you're going to be serving on. This is a civilian version without the railgun, but here you go. Enjoy it. Older T6000Ms are more durable. The newer ones have more dubious design choices and tend to break easier. Okay. Ooh. All right, y'all. I'm going to wrap this up. I've been streaming for 3.5 hours, and I started an hour late. This would have been normally 4.5 hours. I got to get up in the morning and go to work. And yeah, but tomorrow I will be streaming Pub and Plays with Loken. If Star Citizen is still in the current state that it's in, I may browbeat Loken into doing Helldivers, because I haven't done Helldivers in a long time and I'd love to do that. And on Saturday, we've got a very special discussion, a very special episode of the Captain's Table, where we're going to talk about base building. Specifically, is base building good for Star Citizen? Is it a waste of energy for CIG to be building base building? Because I've heard some people have the hot take that base building doesn't make any sense for Star Citizen and is tacked on nonsense. So and then on Sunday, we may have a lore expedition. If we do have a lore expedition, it'll be in 4.0.1, because I cannot handle 4.0 in its current absolutely garbage state, as 4.0.1 seems to be working better. Hopefully 4.0.1 is released tomorrow, because it seems like they've been putting some patches out and that kind of stuff. So we'll see. And then if it is, then I'll browbeat Loken into doing Save Stanton. But lore event is in the announcement on Discord. Okay, announcement on Discord. So yeah, if you go to the Discords, the lore announcements on Discord, you'll see the Dell and Tree and Witcher and Joe Freak and Ghost all have announcement abilities now, so they'll be making announcements like that there. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. Oh, and one more thing. Lore video on Saturday. See you there.